All right, welcome to the Krug Show. As we get it rolling after Warrior basketball, we got a full house. The Warriors upset the Celtics. Frank Red is here. My nephew is in the house. The great Cyrus. Of course, Paulie Mack. It's Wednesday nights, and we would be nothing if we did not go behind the walls of a 55 and over community in a suburban area of Arizona that's incredibly safe, and yet there's a man behind a lock and a key, and his name is Dan Coach Emilio. Let's go right now. All right, welcome to the Krug Show after Warrior basketball. Warriors. Oh, wait a second. What happened?
Everyone else. We don't need them.
There we go. I hit the wrong button.
Great to see you.
Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. We were there on Sunday in Corte Madera. It was fantastic. Thanks to everybody who stopped by, but thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Stop by, say hi to Damon and Mary, get some brisket chili. We ate way too much on Sunday, and we want to thank them.
Can I interrupt your read real fast to ask
please.
Paulie, as an impartial eater, consumer of Pig and a Pickle, how good was it, dude? How good was it?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was damn good. It was my second time dining at Pig and a Pickle with the great Larry Kruger. And by the way, extended Kruger family. Joe, you missed out, man. He had his kids there. A lot of Niner fans milling around. It was a really good time. And I got to tell you, though, Krugs, I think I'm partial to the pulled pork sandwich, man.
Oh,
yeah, because I went with the brisket this time. And again, I'm not complaining. Shout out to Damon and Pig and a Pickle. But for me, dude, it's all about the pulled pork. So next time I know where I'm going to strike. I hope that is a sufficient answer. Yeah.
No. I mean, I'll say this too. So, we sat there, we ate all day. We're watching Green Bay lose to Detroit. Yeah. So now it's time to go, right? And he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, man, you want some food for the road?" And how could I say no, right? I go, "What are you thinking?" And he's like, "Well, hey, man, I just started making these incredible chicken pot pies." And I'm like, "Oh, my wife loves chicken." And I go, "Chicken pot pie? That sounds perfect." I go, Kev's like, Kev, you want a chicken pot pie? He's like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah.
So he's like, "I got you 3 chicken pot pies right now." So he goes in the back, he brings out these chicken pot pies with the barbecue chicken diced up in it.
Oh,
with, it had onions, carrots, celery, a little bit of mushroom. And then they had these rosemary seasoned dumplings, like bread dumplings, 4 of them. I mean, it was amazing. It was freaking amazing.
amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. One of the best I've ever had.
Hey, Krugs, one last thing. You got to fly your nephew Joe out next time. We have a big party in Corte Madera. Don't ignore the other half. You know what I mean?
I know. Well, this is one of my favorite people in the world, the great Joe Harrell, who, if it was up to me, he'd be a Warrior fan, but he's a Celtic fan because he lives in Connecticut. We can talk about it. We can debate it, but it's just the way it is.
Larry, we need a punching bag tonight. So we got one. We're all good, man. Joe, thank you.
But before we get to that, let me just tell everybody that we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. And as you can see in the top corner of the screen over Dan Coach Emilio's very, very handsome melon is Mancini's. Mancini's Sleep World is a brand new proud sponsor of the Krug Show, and they offer 120-night guarantee, a range of brands and price points to get free next-day delivery. I'm loving my new Mancini's bed. Click the link below. Go to sleepworld.com, and you can find a bed that works for you. Whether you shop online or visiting in the store, use Krug10, the code Krug10 at checkout. You're going to get 10% off. So, hey, $3,600 bed, you're saving $360 just because you know me. So, Krug10. You get 10% off. Once again, Krug 10. That's in store at any Mancini's or sleepworld.com. Thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. They are fantastic. I don't know what kind of bed you guys have, but here it is, the offer on the bottom of the screen. Use the Krug 10 and get 10% off at Mancini's. And thanks to Mancini's for being a sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's get to the game, guys.
Well, real fast, I got to give some, if Larry, if you don't mind, I got to give some love real quickly. to the Golden Days official sponsor, and that is Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and MMA. Thankfully, the election is behind us. Head to Bet Online today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online. The game starts here. Thank you, sir. You may proceed.
Is there anything that anybody else would like to promote before we get going? Paulie, you got anything you want to promote? Frank?
Nothing that's safe for work. So no.
Joe,
not yet.
In the greater, anybody giving you anything in the greater Boston area, Joe, that you'd like to shout out to right now?
Even your drug dealer, dude. I'm sure he'd love, or she would love.
This is my nephew. Love. Please do not soil the sanctity of my family with your drugs. This is a drug-free podcast. No, but go ahead, Joe.
Nice.
No, I don't have anything to plug here, unfortunately, right now.
All right, that's all right. That's all right. As I said, a drug-free podcast. Paulie reacted very, instantly reacted. A man.
I'm innocent, man. I'm telling you, I'm innocent. Yeah.
He's been to many Grateful Dead shows. He's probably still has a contact high.
There are residual effects. I cannot deny this, man. It's true.
Well, we should promote Frank's show, though. Frank, tell people when they can catch your show, Frank.
We've been consistently lighting it up at, no pun intended, on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. in the Dungeon Show. Got a loyal following that check me out. Emphasis on strong content, all the sports. We also do movie reviews, and we talk a lot about hip hop as well. I'm a hip hop artist, as you know, and some of the listeners out there know, and it's a part of my life, and it's evolving into a pretty neat show, and I'm real happy to have the support that I have.
That's awesome, and and people are looking for it. Just see underneath Frank's name there, or right underneath his head there, you'll see In the Dungeon. That's how it's spelled. Look it up on YouTube and check him out.
Dungeon, I love that name.
And let's not forget Danny Coach Emilio up here in the top corner. The other Coach Emilio brother is probably how he's better known. No, I'm just joking. Danny, tell people about NorCal Sports Network, how they can find it.
Yeah, that's it right there, NorCal Sports Network. And we've been growing. We're 3 subs away from 2,800. We added about 500 just in the month of October. So we're really growing. We're covering all kinds of things. We're covering, can't compete with Cyrus though, but he's killing it out there at Golden Days.
Larry's killing it, dude. Larry's the one killing it. Man.
Yeah, I'm talking about with Warriors stuff. Warriors basketball. We are doing Warriors post game, and I've got a good crew. Got a couple of guys that love Warriors basketball. We're doing that. Of course, you see all the hats behind me. We're probably best known for covering the San Francisco Giants, all 162. But NorCal Sports Network, check us out. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
It is funny when you say that. You said, "Hey, we cover the Giants." I'm like, "Hey," and then you said all 162, and I went, "Ugh."
Yeah, yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, yeah, it's
like, "Hey, I cover the Giants." Hey, all 162. Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
All of a sudden, it becomes a job. All of a sudden, it's a job.
Somebody's got to do it. But
let's talk Warriors, though. Let's talk Warriors because they are hot, man. They're 6-1. They cannot be beaten on the road. They go on the road, fall behind by 11 in the first quarter, and then just put the Celtics away. It was all Warriors after that. 118, 112. Celtics had a big third quarter, outscoring the Warriors by 10. To make the fourth quarter a game, and the Warriors won it in the fourth. So it was almost a game like the Warriors won twice. Buddy Hield was 16 off the bench. I thought the guy that was huge tonight was a guy that I can't stand watching, and that's Slow-Mo. Mm-hmm. The guy hit 3 threes in a row, and
they were huge.
He had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. 20 minutes off the bench, double figures. So, obviously Curry had 27 to lead the way, 16 for Wiggins, 10 for Kuminga. But Slow-Mo, I thought Slow-Mo was huge in the middle of this game. What did you guys think of the game?
I want you to, Krug, just first of all, like elaborate on your opening statement there, because you prefaced it by going, I hate watching slow-mo, but he had 3 threes in a row. Break that down.
Yeah.
What do you think about slow-mo?
Well, I mean, it's like I like my favorite basketball player of all time is like Dominique Wilkins.
Nice.
I like athletes, and I like to see an aerial game.
I got you.
This guy reminds me of like coaching in the 4th grade.
Wow.
Where everybody kind of shoots it wrong because they're not strong enough, and they kind of stick their butt out and their arms, and it looks bad. It's like I feel like I'm watching like a pickup game at the Y when I'm watching slow-mo. And he just reminds me, it's ugly. I mean, his game, and I hope people don't take offense to that. And if slow-mo shouldn't take offense to that. But like, if we're going to say that Klay Thompson's release is beautiful, then this guy's release is ugly, because Klay, it rolls off the hand. It's just like, there's no effort. It's just so smooth. And this guy just, he labors through his shot, but it goes. I mean, he is effective. He's an effective player more than, a stylistic masterpiece. What do you guys think? Do you guys like slow-mo? Am I the only one who's not a big slow-mo fan?
I like him because he wins. I've been watching since he was in high school.
Yeah.
And he actually played on Donnell Marshall's AAU team in high school.
Nice.
And the same way he plays now is how he played when he was in high school. He's 6'8", 6'9", really, really smart. I like smart players. So, I'm looking at the totality of the game, not one particular phase of the game. This guy can never shoot the basketball in a game and still have an impact performance. So I think he really lends into what the Warriors do intellectually as basketball players. And he's a winner, man. I really like having the guy around. I think he's good.
Yeah, I love his wingspan. If you notice, they had him throw in the ball the last with 11 seconds or whatever it was, because they want his smartness out there, his height, that he can throw the ball in, and not, you don't want no 6'3" guy throwing the ball in, getting it, lobbing it, and getting it stolen. So I like slow-mo a lot. He's just a good veteran. Yeah, I agree with Larry. He's not pleasing to watch when he shoots, but he's just a presence out there.
I mean, I'll just admit it. I'm not a big fan of effective players. I like a show. You know what I mean? I like a show. I want to see a show. I want to see guys who Zion Williamson is fun to watch. Why? Because he's just, power. And, Steph is fun to watch because of the shot. I mean, I like guys who can, I like the above the rim game. I mean, I can appreciate effective, especially come playoff time, but just the NBA regular season's so long. It's like, I really like the guys who entertain.
Well, and one thing Kyle Anderson's doing, and which is awesome, especially in lieu of the fact that Brandon Pajemski missed today's game, which goes to show that the shits is probably not what's going on. It's something a little more serious. Whatever is going on with Pods, let's hope he's okay. He's battling an illness, but without him and without DeAnthony Melton, this has been an issue for the Warriors now, and which is weird because it's never previously been. But they've been shorthanded when it comes to ball handlers and point guards, and Kyle Anderson can handle that role, which is huge. And that's a huge reason, sorry to be redundant, why he's getting so many minutes. The 3-point shot falling is an incredible perk that comes along with the slow-mo package, because last year he shot 22.9% from deep. And a lot of people were concerned about whether or not he was going to be heaving threes, but he also was dealing with a wrist injury last year. And a lot of people said that that's the reason for his shooting percentage going down. So those 3 threes in a row that he made, which was, I think, in the second quarter of the game, where Kyle Anderson was 3 of 4 from the field total, had 9 points. And that was huge, man, because that shifted the whole momentum of the game. It was 3 after 3 after 3, and it opened the game up where the Warriors had this 11-point halftime lead. But him filling in as a point guard, in my opinion, has been huge, because you no longer have that defensive liability they've had in years past when Corey Joseph was getting these minutes, when Ty Jerome was getting these minutes. I am happy when Kyle Anderson is getting those minutes because, like I think, Dan, you said, he's got length. He plays defense. He can rebound. He's smart. He doesn't make dumb mistakes out there. Dude, I mean, so far, so damn good. And this was a statement game, man, because Boston wanted to win that game. Jason Tatum had that chip on his shoulder. And so what does Steve Kerr do? He double teams him to start the game, forces the ball out of his hands. And then Kyle Anderson, who we're talking about, was awesome. This is just phenomenal, dude. If you're a member of Dub Nation, you're pumped.
Hey, ooh. Cyrus, I just want to jump in on what you just said, because I got a question for Joe about the just significance of this game. Like, it was being set up as a kind of a measuring stick game for the Warriors. If there's been any criticism, it's that they haven't, quote, played anybody yet. So this was going to be the game tonight. People are going to watch, people are going to judge them by. But I'm curious, Joe, like, what was the temperature like in Boston for this game? Was it seen the same way? You guys are NBA champs now, but obviously the Warriors have some history with you guys recently. So was it looked at like, yeah, this is a big one for us. We need to show, the NBA community we can beat the Warriors on our own floor?
Not to be a dick here, but not really. I don't think. I don't think this game felt. I mean, it's a entertaining game, no question, but a big game in terms of we need to prove something. I don't think so. I mean, no Jaylen Brown, no Kristaps Porzingis. The temperature was not hot in this game here, at least. I mean, obviously, I think Tatum separate, right, with Kerr and everything. I think he had his own prerogative tonight. But from a team standpoint, I mean, I wanted to see them win this game. I wanted to see them come back with just Tatum. I wish I could have seen a better Drew game. I think a better Drew game, they maybe take that game. But in terms of how hot that game was here in the city, it didn't. I don't think the pressure.
Where was Brown? Where was Brown tonight?
Great.
He's been dealing with a hip. He injured it over the
He's
weekend.
been dealing with vaginitis. Is that what they call it?
I'll tell you what happened in this game. I'll tell you one thing that jumped out in this game was that I felt like Holiday and Pritchard shot him out of it. I mean, those guys combined, they went 3 for 17 from beyond the arc. And that's a rough one.
I think the game was lost.
That's a rough day.
I think the game was lost in the first half when Tatum was just shut down. He got hot in the third, but he was shut down. They were trapping him. They were blitzing him. They were not going to let him beat him. And I think Kerr knew the mentality of Tatum was going to try to force it because he wanted to come out and, play. Stephen A. Smith's out there saying, I hope that Jason Tatum, like it's a revenge game for the Olympics, and he's making a big deal out of it.
Well, let's touch on that for a second, Dan. Not to interrupt you, but you hit on a big topic. That was one of the big subplots of this game. Tatum's going off because Kerr dissed him because he didn't play him against Serbia or something like that. It was a team of stars of NBA players, and he rode the hot hand with money on the table and went with Derek White instead. And they won. I mean, they didn't. It wasn't like Kerr didn't get a gold medal. Tatum did. So Tatum's got a gold medal that he's going to have for the rest of his life because of Steve Kerr.
No,
he can be as mad as he wants. What do you mean?
Because he already had a gold. That was part of the whole issue here. Tatum was the second best player on a previous gold medal winning team.
My point was that Kerr's not getting a medal here. The coaches don't get a medal.
No.
The players get the medal. Kerr made what he thought was the right decision at the time, right? He's not trying to throw the Olympics. He's trying to win the games. He went with the guys he went with. It worked. They won the title. I know that hurts Tatum's ego because he's a better player than Derek White. We all know that. It's just the way it came down. To me, Steve Kerr wasn't doing that to Tatum. Right. It was like Steve Kerr was just trying to coach the game. For Stephen A. to kind of make it like, look what he did to you, Tatum, is just, it's just so backwards.
Larry, here's the other side of that. And this is why I do sympathize with Tatum, is because pretend this wasn't Tatum. Imagine if this was LeBron. If LeBron James was benched like this, would you still be saying the same thing you're saying now?
Jason Tatum's not LeBron James, though.
He's close. He's a reigning champion, best player on a reigning champion.
No.
That's where the disrespect part of it comes in.
He's an enormous talent.
He is that good. Jason Tatum is that good. Even if he was going through a weird shooting thing at that moment, Jason Tatum is
not,
a perennial first.
We can have we got
this.
thousands of people in here, and they're never gonna. Nobody's ever gonna agree that Jason Tatum's on the same level as LeBron James. But
he's close though.
I hear
He's
what
like
you're saying.
this
He's
close.
he's a great player. Frank, go ahead.
Now, the difference is, I mean, Tatum is a great player, future Hall of Famer. He might start on the next Olympic team. But what he doesn't have is a quick first step. And when you are among the greatest athletes in the world, you need that quick burst. You saw it on display tonight with Jonathan Kuminga. You can't stop him. You can play to his weaknesses, but when Jonathan Kuminga makes a decision to beat the opposition, he gets to the basket against anybody. Jason Tatum has to dribble 2 or 3 times to get into his stuff. And Kerr didn't want that. LeBron James, even at 40-plus years old, still has a quick burst, not only to make plays for himself, but for other people. So Jason Tatum, hey, man, I love the guy. But Kerr, I've always been supportive of him coaching the team that he wants to coach because he won, and it was going to be on his shoulders had they lost. So, you know, I don't really have a problem with Kerr.
But Frank, are you really saying that Jason Tatum doesn't have a quick first step?
No, yes, he doesn't. He does not.
Agree to disagree on that one, man.
But hold on. Let me give you one thing to look at. When he gets the ball at the top of the key, how many dribbles does it take to get to the basket?
Well, that has nothing to do with the first step.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay, well, I don't agree with that. But okay,
because
I think Tatum is a very talented player, but in the Celtics series that the Warriors beat them in the finals, he basically he did kind of what I would call almost like a Kobe Bryant imitation at the top of the circle with a lot of this and a lot of that and a lot of one-on-one. And he didn't beat anybody off the dribble. He didn't play particularly well. When he had the ability to take smaller, less athletic players down on the low block and score over them, he didn't. He prefers the face-up, game where or at least he did a couple of years ago. I think he's evolved and has improved. Joe, you watch him every night. I mean, and you're following this story on the Boston side of it. How big was the Kerr thing? How much talk has it gotten out there?
It has gotten a lot of talk, and it got a lot of talk over the summer. It still gets talk. I mean, I was saying it before the show a little bit. I do think they play it up a little bit more than it actually mattered, just for, rating standpoints and radio. They got to talk about something for 4 hours. But it was a story that people actually did care about. I mean, you see the fans care about it, whether or not they actually really care about it. I think it's a little bit of a little bit of hyperbole in that with all the booing and everything, because it's at the end of the day, it's the Olympics. We just won the title. I don't know how many Celtics fans really cared that much. But it was a story. But also to the Tatum point, Larry, you're just saying how he kind of did what he was doing a couple of years ago. He is a methodical player. He's for sure methodical with his game. That said, I do think he does have a faster step than you're giving him. He just doesn't use it that often. He does when they get him the ball right around the free throw line. I mean, he can spin off that and get to the hole in basically one dribble, no question. I mean, he does it a lot. So
we saw tonight, Joe, in the third quarter when he was going off, he was beating people off the dribble like lightning fast. I was watching it just tonight. I mean, just to give people a perspective on that third quarter by Jason Tatum, 17 points in a quarter is massive. 4 of 6 from deep, 5 of 7 from the field. He's again, first team All-NBA. Those are the 5 best players in the game, especially now when it's no longer a position thing. Like you don't have to vote for a center to make All-NBA. And Jason Tatum is on that team year after year. Draymond Green.
Did Kerr do him wrong? Are you saying that Kerr did him wrong?
Draymond Green spent Kerr's own player, spent 20 minutes ripping Kerr for the decision. It's not, I don't think it's like an absolute thing whether one side's right or wrong, but I can understand Jason Tatum's perspective, which is what the hell do I have to do to play? What do I have to do to play?
You won. My God. Okay. This happens in other sports and nobody makes any big deal of it. Do you guys know that Pablo Sandoval sat the 2010 World Series?
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Sat for Mike Fontenot.
And you know
Bruce Bochy played Mike Fontenot over Pablo Sandoval.
And it was the right move. That was the right move.
And it was the right move. And later Sandoval would win the World Series MVP. Right?
2 years later.
2 years later. But I'm just saying, in that series, Bruce was like, hey, I'm sitting Sandoval. And the Giants made Tim Lincecum one of the best pitchers in their history come out of the bullpen in the playoffs. So I mean, it's like, I don't know. I'm just saying that if it is a big deal to Tatum, and it may be, I mean, that's the part I don't know. Joe, is it a big deal to Tatum? I mean, is it a big deal to the fans?
I actually think it's a bigger deal to Tatum than the fans.
Okay.
I honestly, when he was sitting the whole playoffs, I was happy. And I think the playoffs, the whole Olympics.
Yeah.
I was happy. And I think a lot of
the wear and tear, you mean?
No, motivation, right?
I guess that, but somehow, coming off a title, I think he is a little bit angry.
Yes.
Which is crazy because, coming off a championship, you shouldn't come in with a chip on your shoulder really at any question.
And Jaylen, right, Joe? And Jaylen Brown has that same chip for not even making the team.
He didn't make the team,
totally
right?
With you.
But Kerr did play a lot of Derek White and Drew Holiday, so it wasn't like he had anything against the Celtics. He was playing to obviously win the gold medal. I like what Dr. Sean Stanley says in the chat at 8:44. He says Tatum is a rhythm player. He needs the ball to be effective, and I think that's true. And in Kerr's the type of players that were playing in the Olympics, it wasn't a perfect match. It wasn't a great match because Tatum's shot was off and he wasn't in a rhythm. And you had guys that were playing well together. Who are you going to bench? Booker? I mean,
White
played well though in the Olympics.
He did.
I think Halliburton.
Yeah.
Halliburton, I think, got more minutes than Jason Tatum.
Halliburton hardly played. Halliburton didn't even
really
play.
Neither did Tatum.
He did in a few games.
Neither did Tatum.
He sat what, 2 games against
They
the same
won.
opponent.
My God, they won.
Larry, don't forget that Serbia game, man. That Serbia game, if Stephen Curry wasn't playing lights out, this is a whole different.
Check your GD ego at the door. You won.
Yeah.
All right. That part I don't get. That's where it's a little too me-centric for me. Let's talk about the Warriors though tonight, because I thought we saw something. Now maybe it's an isolated game. It's early in the year. It's hard to know what's real. They got off to a hot start last year. They faded bad. This year they're deeper. But one of the things that really jumped out tonight, to me at least, and maybe, and Joe, maybe you tell me I'm wrong, was this an off-shooting night by the Celtics? I don't know. To me, it looked like really, really good Warrior defense. And if the Warriors going to play this level of defense, and they got 3 or 4 guys right now that can really lock you up if Kuminga is, if Kuminga's fully engaged on the defensive end, good luck to you, because they got Green, they've got guys. I mean, they've got Peyton, who's one of the great defenders in the league. I think the Warriors defense is looking, I hate to say this because I picked them to win 38 games a couple weeks ago. It's looking championship caliber.
We all heard that.
They have a great defense.
Yeah.
Their defense right now.
Yeah.
I love the way they are playing defense right now. Give me your guys' thoughts. Ryan, I haven't heard from you yet. What do you think? You've been listening to this.
First of all, it's great to see all of you. It's great to see Paulie Mack, who I interned for back in 2020, baby.
Yeah, man, you're looking good, brother. You're looking good, man. You're aging well,
So,
Ryan.
Ryan, are you saying Paulie's the reason why you're in all of our lives? Fucking Paulie, man. God,
I mean, yeah, that's the domino that started it all. So I don't know what you guys have talked about because I came in late. I know.
It was mostly the Giants because Dan was talking. We were talking about the Giants bullpen. No. We've been talking about the Warriors in the Celtic game. Just and a little bit. We just started really.
Okay, well, I mean, I think clearly the Celtics are the best team in the league. They didn't have Jaylen Brown, but that was, I mean, like this was like the game that I had circled early in the calendar. Like this is the test. This is absolutely the test. And I can't really tell if like this Warriors team, because it is such a great defensive team, I can't tell if it's like. They're going to be.
So you
like
agree?
Really
you agree with that? That they're really good defensive team?
Of course.
Yeah.
I will say I think Kuminga is super overrated as a defender. I feel like that might make Cy mad. But
who's
Tatum,
overrating him? I don't. That's weird. Why are you saying that?
Well,
I called him a lockdown defender a second ago.
Yeah, but
so if Larry says
it's more
something,
potential. It's more potential than it is reality.
Overrated. Come on, man. Anyway,
he is an overrated defender. But
who's overrating him? You got to.
I'll tell you who's underrated defender is Steph. Steph was playing great D tonight.
Yeah, he did.
Steph is an underrated defender, but I'd say anytime I'm watching a national broadcast, they like to talk about Kuminga's defense, and it's just his profile and his athleticism and his size that they automatically assume he's going to be a great defender. But he was like primarily the reason I feel like why Tatum got off in the third quarter.
Somebody says Stackhouse deserves the credit for the improved D.
I mean, he's definitely a huge part of it, and it's great to see Buddy Hield's playing defense as well.
Yeah. Buddy Hield,
my
looks great.
My biggest takeaway was I was not a huge pods guy last year. I felt like he kind of had that like main player syndrome where, he was kind of sucking up to the vets. I knew him and Wiggins were kind of getting into it. And I felt like people were way overrating pods to the point where, they're talking about him as a piece they don't want to trade for Lauri Markkanen and whatnot. But I see Pods has a very defined role on this team. Curry doesn't want to handle the ball. Curry doesn't want to be bringing the ball up the court. If you take Pods out of this game and take Melton out, like you kind of saw that was a big issue this game. It's like what slow-mo's taking the ball up the court, beating the traps, beating the press. So that's one thing I'm looking at. But overall, I mean, I think this is a good Dubs team. They're just super deep. It's just hard to really gauge like what does this mean. I think they're going to be a good regular season team for the rest of the year. I just don't know about the playoffs.
Oh, look at that. Why? Because you think they're the kind of team that's going to play at a high level all year in the regular season and won't have another level to get to come playoff time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's my feeling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see that.
I got to say, like what Joe and I were talking about a few minutes ago about the Boston Celtics and how some of those guys might feel, disgruntled, right? Jaylen Brown, he wasn't there. Tatum didn't get his minutes. We all saw Tatum's face in France, dude. He looked like someone stole his lunch money, He looked so bummed out. So those guys have their own motivation, but I think the same thing is going on right here with the Golden State Warriors. Again, like Krug, we mentioned the fact that the last two seasons got so off the rails and we're so below the standard that we've been used to seeing for the past 10 years. These guys look around. Look, Draymond and Steph, obviously, these guys are saying, how many more years do we have where we're going to have a legitimate shot to make a deep run in the postseason? They know the clock is ticking. They know what's in front of them and what's behind them. And that's why I think the Warriors have like an added degree of motivation this year. And now they have depth. Now they're playing defense. And Ryan, you mentioned Buddy Hield, man. I think that Buddy Hield has been a godsend for this team. Even tonight, like in the first quarter, when the beginning of the game was getting a little squirrely, the Warriors were having a hard time finding the rim. And then it was Buddy Hield who hit that three in the corner, kind of calmed the waters. And I'm telling you, this guy is, I think, one of the biggest moves that we've seen in Golden State the past few years. And he helps you to not miss Klay Thompson, right? You're getting those points now from Buddy Hield, or hopefully, and I hope that will continue. But again, I think that the Warriors are also a highly motivated group this year.
By the way, I just have to, Ryan, I got to correct you real fast because you sat there and said that Jason Tatum's hot third quarter was because of Kuminga's defense. Kuminga did not come into the game until there were 4 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the third when Tatum had already hit 3 threes. So I don't know what's going on with you where you're trying to slander Kuminga like this, but that is not accurate, brother. I just have to correct you a little bit there. Sorry.
Okay. Fair enough.
Here we go.
Get him.
That was kind of crazy.
This one from Rennell. Rennell's a new member. Rennell, welcome aboard. And Bill M says, Paulie, great to see you. What have you been up to?
Good to see you,
Bill
man.
M.
I'm hanging with
North Sports
Kruger.
Network guy.
Yeah, I'm hanging with Kruger every Wednesday. That's what I'm up to. And in January, we're going to be launching a new show, Polymax Particles, right here on YouTube. I'll be Larry Kruger's neighbor. I'll be Cyrus's neighbor. Dan, I'll get you on the show. Frank, all you guys, man. The door's going to be wide open. We'll talk to everybody.
Don't lie, Paulie. Don't lie. You're not inviting any of those guys. It's okay, man.
Door's open, man. Door's always open.
He's definitely inviting Dan because Dan's got a huge platform. All right. What about Cy? Don't be bitter on people.
I'm not bitter. That wasn't a bitter comment. That was a mean comment. I apologize. That was nothing bitter.
Don't be mean and nasty to anybody. If anybody's gonna be mean and nasty, let it be me. Anyway, the Warriors after tonight. This was not just a 1-game deal. This schedule is tough. It goes. They go. Who do they have the next
Cleveland
three?
and OKC.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Cleveland and OKC, both on the road. So Friday at Cleveland and then Sunday at OKC.
And then Tuesday at home against Dallas. Klay Thompson.
Tuesday at
comes
home
back.
against Dallas,
Yeah.
and then Memphis. And Memphis is pretty good.
Yeah, they are.
So it's this is a kind of a tough stretch, but it was good to see the Warriors. I mean, let's be honest, the Warriors are got to be probably the surprise team in the NBA right now. Would you guys agree? I mean, who's more surprising in the early season in the NBA right now than the Golden State Warriors?
Does it have to be good? Because the Bucks are
The Bucks, I guess
surprising
the Bucks being 1-6 and then the worst record
That
in the
falls
East.
right into the Warriors' hands because as the Bucks fail, Giannis will become a Warrior. You watch later.
That's
this
the hope. That's the hope.
I think it's going to happen.
If you watch Golden Days consistently, the Milwaukee Bucks thing is no surprise. I was telling people months ago, this is an absolute shit show. I don't know how the hell the Bucks thought the delusions of grandeur in the front offices of so many of these NBA teams. It's asinine, man. And the Bucks are included. I don't know who thought they would be good. This record reflects exactly who they are, an old, aging, has-been team. Even Giannis is 30 years old. But look, if you look at the standings, Larry, like in terms of a surprise team, at least for winners, the only other team that at least sticks out to me would be the Suns. And even I don't know if they're much of a surprise given the talent they have, but they're 6-1 and they disappointed last year and they're not disappointing now. So maybe they're a surprise, but yeah, I think you're right, Larry. This Warriors team is surprising everybody. Mike Breen and Doris Burke in the broadcast tonight, like they were stunned. Like you could hear them shocked. Watching this Warriors defense, like where the hell did this come from? And the fact that most of it's homegrown, except for Buddy Hield and Slow-Mo, that's just icing on the cake.
Well, who are we crediting? Because I mean, they're off to this amazing start. Who gets the credit here? Do you give it to guys like Stackhouse and Terry Stotts, the new assistants? Do you give it to Dunleavy for kind of, he didn't make the big deal. He didn't force it. He didn't force after he couldn't make the deals he wanted to make. He didn't force any deal. I mean, most teams in the offseason would have forced some deal, and they didn't. And I don't love how I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like it's a perfect fit yet either, but they're winning games. I mean, they're 7-1. They haven't lost on the road. They've got a lot of scoring off the bench. Buddy Hield looks fantastic. He was plus 20 in 29 minutes tonight. Best plus minus on the floor for Golden State. So
throw Chris
he's
DeMarco in there too with the assistant coaches. I don't know if you guys have talked about that whole thing, but him being Buddy Hield's coach for the Bahamas team, and he was like Klay's guy, and so
we broke that story on Golden Days. We broke that story on Golden Days. Ryan, you're absolutely right. I will now throw a shitload of love your way after being negative. I apologize. You're spot on, dude. The Chris DeMarco part of it. He literally is the reason Buddy Hield is a Warrior, and we're now seeing that he's the leading scorer of this team. Profoundly important and huge. So, Ryan, I want to give you
awesome take. I credit all four guys, really. And Dunleavy, where I give him credit is he built a team based on athleticism, length, and guys that are veterans. You have the perfect complement of vets and the younger guys in Pods and TJD and Moody and Kuminga. Those are the four young guys that plays. And then they picked up Lindsey Waters as well. So they're really 13 deep. And so it is a team that can afford to go out and trade for a Giannis, because when it gets to playoff time, you're not playing more than probably 9.
Yeah. I don't see Milwaukee trading Giannis at all. I don't.
If he wants out, it's up to Giannis, though.
No. I mean, I think you're right. But I just don't. I think they'll do whatever they need to do to try to bring back another superstar as opposed to an accompaniment of good players. Now, I'm gonna give you one name. I mean, just like you said, I think there's a lot of credit to go around. But from a coaching perspective, the one ace that Kerr has in his pocket this year that he didn't have is he can use GP2 to turn anybody's water off. When the tempo of the game is changing, he said, "Yo, GP2, I need you." You can put him on a point guard. He slows the other team's offense down because he picks up 94 feet. You can put him on a small forward because his lower extremities are really, really strong, and he can jump. And he leans into him with that left hand. And he's a natural rebounder. So he gives Kerr so many options beyond offense that constitute winning. And he didn't have that last year. I mean, this guy's playing lights out basketball, and he's impacting the game.
There's no question. They have to have about 5 or 6 underrated guys. Okay, I mentioned I can't stand it slow-mo, but there's no doubt he's underrated. Buddy Hield is right now playing incredible basketball. Oof. Lindy Waters, I think, is an underrated player. I've always been a Kuminga fan. I think Moody's underrated. So, I mean, they just have a number of guys that I think, you could put in that kind of underrated category for sure. What's the upside of this team? And by the way, Joe, you watch this Celtics team. They've only lost twice all year. This has only been theirs. And to me, their coach had some weird looks, was given some weird looks to some of their Celtic players on the bench as they were coming off in the fourth quarter. Is there something going on with this team that we don't know about? It just seems like, I know they're the defending champs and everybody loves everybody right now, but there were some weird looks on that bench in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think, in their 2 losses, the Pacers game was just what's going to happen to the Celtics. It happened to them last year. Here and there, they're just going to be cold, and then it's just going to be. It is what it is. When when you when you take 40 threes a game, 40 plus threes a game, and you are cold for a night, you're probably going to lose. Now they came back in that game because they put together a kind of miraculous comeback in the final 2 minutes of that game, really 6 minutes. But they fell short in overtime. But, I think this game, if you saw some looks, I just think, at least in the first half specifically, I think there was a lot of frustration because, honestly, that's what Kerr threw at the Celtics tonight in the first half, at least. And they tried it in the second half, too, but I think Tatum figured out the blitz a little bit better.
And they adjusted. Missoula adjusted, yeah. But great.
Exactly. That blitz, we haven't, in Boston, we haven't seen that this year, at least. And especially with Tatum, who's been the league's leading scorer in the first quarters, to just shut him down early, double him every time he gets the ball. And Tatum couldn't get the ball out. They were turning it over left and right. Warriors were scoring in transition. I think there's a lot of frustration tonight that they haven't seen because, like I said, the Pacers game was more of a traditional loss where they just couldn't make shots because it just wasn't falling. Whereas this one, the Warriors were just making it really tough on them. Now, that said, Pritchard and Drew, you said, went 3 for 17 from 3. Even in a good defensive effort, they're not doing that often. So, they hit 2 or 3 more of those, and it might be a different situation. And that's obviously a game with injuries too. But I just think there was some weird frustration going on tonight that the Celtics haven't seen, honestly, since going back to last year.
Hey man, maybe based on the interview Missoula did last week, maybe he would have been happier if he just told the guys to drop the gloves, get out there and start swinging. You know what I mean? Let's mix it up a little bit. He advocated fighting in the NBA last week, man. That was pretty crazy. I mean, I know a lot of the so-called old heads. I might be one of those guys. Were like all for it. Yeah, man, the Pistons, the Celtics, the Pat Riley Knicks. But I mean, that was kind of. By the way, what kind of traction did that make? Any waves in Boston at all?
Oh, yeah.
But just to add to that, because what Missoula was saying, he wasn't just saying bring fights back. He wanted full on like NHL rules applied.
Yeah, I heard that.
Have regulated.
Yeah.
But you also have like penalty minutes where he was saying like someone should get taken off the floor and you have 5-on-4 matchups. I I do think that would be fascinating if they added that.
That is interesting. I think
he's like maybe the NBA could bring in, the Ty Domies of the world, and everybody could just have somebody who's just badass.
Nice,
Dude, he shoots 22% from the line. He shoots 9% from 3. But this guy can knock people out. I mean,
bring back David West. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Missoula is he's a big like jiu-jitsu guy, right?
I wouldn't mess with him.
I mean, that's what I was kind of like in the vibe that maybe he was just trying to fight other coaches. No. Which, by the way, I don't know like who I would take over him. Maybe your former guy Ime. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, no, Missoula's he's a big jiu-jitsu guy. Honestly, he's kind of got that like psychopath energy around him that he's been leaning into a lot recently. Yeah. I think you're seeing more and more stuff like this where he's going on the radio here in Boston on 98.5 or whatever it is and saying these crazy things. And I think it's all just because he realizes people like it and he's leaning into it harder. Whereas I think when he was, especially 2 years ago, when honestly, if they lose that game 4 to the Heat, he's probably not the coach right now. But 2 years ago, you didn't hear it as much. All of a sudden, they win a championship, and he's dropping lines like he wants to see fighting in the NBA, and just a lot of crazy comments. But we're here for him, so we like him.
Yeah, you guys love it. As long as you're winning titles and having parades, you can say whatever you want. Exactly. Instant One says, might be taboo to say, but coaching aside, Klay was probably a bigger factor than we thought as far as team cohesion. This team's ball movement and transition offense is beautiful. There's no question, guys. I mean, this is kind of, I mean, everybody loves Klay, so we don't want to beat up on Klay. Everybody loves what he contributed here, and he was one of the most popular Warriors of all time. Yeah. But as easy as he was on a team early in his career, that's how hard he was on Kerr last year. Mm-hmm. And I know firsthand that Kerr had many meetings with him that never even became public. And they just he could never really, grasp or fully embrace kind of the twilight of his career. And, they say it's easier to take a lesser role in a different locker room sometimes. And that's what was probably why it was in his best interest for him to move on. I'm sure he's happier. I know Steve and the Warriors are happier. The Warriors are just better off. There's just there's a much lighter feel than, and I don't know why that is, because Steph's getting older, Draymond's getting older, but they just seem like they can handle the twilight of their career a little bit better. And there's not such a heaviness that there was Klay had become a burden to the chemistry. And I'm glad that I hate to say this, it sounds terrible, but I'm glad that he's moved on, because I think it's really been the best move for him and for the Warriors.
Well, and based off what Klay said himself, like Klay Thompson is the perfect example of the superstar who lacks the self-awareness of realizing that he's past his prime. Like in his head, like he made a comment a few weeks ago or a month ago where he thought last year was a great year for him. He started bragging about his productivity. That is not, given by his own standards, 38% from three is not a good year for Klay Thompson. 18 points and change a game, not a good year for Klay Thompson. But in his head, he thought he had a good year. So yes, it is awesome that the Warriors moved on from an individual who has massive ego problems. But the other reason why I think it's great that Klay moved on is Kerr's weakness, or one of them, is the crutch that he has for certain players, right? Like he cannot refrain from giving his trusted veterans minutes. And Klay Thompson, we would be seeing him out there in a lot of these games of the season. I guarantee they're not 7-1 to start the season with Klay on this team, because he would be playing 30 minutes in these games and he would be a detriment. And you look at his numbers this season so far between him and Buddy Hield, Klay Thompson is averaging 14 points a game, 14.7 more specifically, while Buddy Hield is averaging 21.9. So they're much better without Klay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll say this about Steph, you say he's getting up there. He's going to turn 37, I think March or sometime whenever but he is the youngest 36, 37-year-old player in basketball. This guy is a late bloomer. He's got the body and mindset of a 31, 32-year-old. He's not, we think, he's 36, 37. I think you and I had this disagreement a couple years ago, Larry, when he was turning 35. You said, who gets better after 35? I said, Steph will. And I still believe it. Steph is still, he's peaking. I mean, he's past his prime, but he's not past his prime, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. Dan, you know what I compare it to? It's the same kind of discussion that was going around Tom Brady. Once he crested 35, it was like, well, how much longer can he keep doing this? Guess what? He did it a lot longer, and he won more Super Bowls in his late 30s and into his 40s. So I almost feel, Dan, like that whole age thing, or that like kind of stigma attached to age. You're right. I totally agree 100% with Steph Curry. To me, that kind of talk is totally irrelevant. You just watch his game. I mean, God, look what he did in France, man. He's one of the greatest players in the history of the league. He's the best shooter we've ever seen. And when I watch Steph Curry, I don't feel like I'm watching a guy that's on the decline or like in the twilight. I think he's got several more very productive years ahead of him. So
maybe 4 or 5 at least. Yeah.
Let's play this comment, or let's show you guys this comment from Pinoy Reformat. He says, honestly, I want Kuminga to take the leap into stardom. Then Giannis can just rot in Milwaukee. let's talk about this. I flipped on to I was in the face-off the other day with Tolbert and Copeland, and they brought up the rumor that says that the Warriors have interest in Jimmy Butler, and Kuminga's name was tied there.
It's not a new rumor, by the way. The people running with that are it's not a smart thing to do. There's nothing new to report on that front. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I don't. I'm good. Thanks for the update. I just whether it was a new rumor, an old rumor, whatever. I hate it. I hate that. What's the quickest way to ruin your team? Trade 2 23-year-old stars for 38-year-old guys. And then let him walk away. I mean, Poole for Paul saved Joe money, but it didn't make the Warriors better. No. It made the Warriors older, and they lost the Poole asset. They overpaid. They devalued their own asset by overpaying him, but then they got rid of him for pennies on the dollar. And it looks like to me, if they traded Kuminga for Jimmy Butler, I mean, that's to me really, really stupid. I'd rather, if I'm going to move Kuminga, I don't want to move Kuminga, but if I'm going to move Kuminga, I'd rather try to move him in a major deal for Giannis than in any kind of a deal for Jimmy Butler. But I'm just in this other mode where I don't want to move Kuminga. He was 19 2 years ago. He's 21 now. He's
22, just 22.
22. He's just gotten worlds better in a short amount of time. He's a totally different player than he was at 19. His shot is smoother. Just give him another year or so, and this guy is going to be a really, really good player. I don't want to trade him now for a 35-year-old player. No. What would you guys do? Because here's the argument. The argument is Steph's got to win a ring. You got to go for it one more time with Steph in his prime, and Kuminga's a little young. He's an attractive trade piece, and go get a for sure. Robin to Steph being Batman, and away you go. But I don't like that plan. I'd rather stay with Kuminga and go that route. What do you guys think? What's the better route for Golden State?
Well, I don't personally think that any trade involving a superstar that's making a lot of money, the guy that has to go in that deal is Wiggins. They really don't have anybody that they can match up. You can't trade a bunch of young guys and match up salaries. So Kuminga's in the deal. It's either Kuminga or Green, and we know Draymond's not going anywhere.
It's going to be Wiggins and Kuminga, most likely.
I don't know if it necessarily would be, though. I don't know.
Well, Kuminga's the one that everybody wants, and you're right. Wiggins has to be involved for any big money deal. So almost by definition, if you're going to land a big fish, you're going to have to it's going to have to be a combo of those guys and maybe other guys too. But
Larry,
those two guys.
It's an interesting topic to discuss. I don't doubt that for a second. But we're coming off a night. This was the biggest test of the Warriors by far this year, right? I think a lot of people are judging tonight, and then the next two games is a litmus test for where this team is, right? And they took care of business in Boston against a team that was not taking a night off. A lot of people have been talking about Peyton Pritchard being a potential sixth man of the year. He played 32 minutes tonight at 16 points. GP2, the army of wings that the Warriors have, whether it was GP2, Lindy Waters, who scored 0 points, yet we're giving him his props because he did well in every other facet of the game. Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, even Steph, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green. These are all names that can play a lot of different positions defensively. And the results showed tonight. A team like the Celtics that normally eats other teams up, especially with that three-point shot, none of those looks, except for a few from Derek White. Derek White had a great game tonight, I thought. But everyone else, they were having difficulties finding open shots. They were having difficulties getting easy looks. And it's because this Warriors team is legit, dude. I feel like we have to give them their props after a game like this and say that maybe they don't need to do anything. Maybe this is a team that, as currently in their current incarnation, with young pieces that are only going to get better, could make a run at this, dude. I'm starting to believe, man. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm starting to believe this team looks damn good.
I love this team because it plays defense and it's athletic. It can score. Anytime you can play defense, you're going to stay in games. And the fact that last year's team would give up open threes to guys all game, and Kerr was constantly calling timeout because guys were left wide open. Now when you have a team of 12, 13 deep, anybody that goes out there and dogs it is going to find themselves in a DNP. And so those guys are going to give 110%. That's because they know their minutes are limited. And if they screw up by not hustling, they're not going to play. And so you're going to get 48 minutes. You're going to get Nolan Richardson 48 minutes of hell with the Warriors. You know, at Arkansas, Nolan Richardson could do that because he had the athletes and they just were conditioned. This team can go out and do that because there's no drop off defensively with the second unit.
Let me. I'm with regards to Kuminga, and I'm in the camp that I don't want to trade him either. I love how he plays and how he moves. The immaturity sometimes gets to me a little bit, but I think he deserves the contract that he was asking for, and I like him. There are two plays in basketball that you can't defend. You can't defend the pick and roll if it's run correctly. You also can't defend the lob. So the Warriors are one of the few teams that have that play, the tic-tac-toe, whatever it is. They have one of the smartest players in history in Draymond Green that is perfect playing with Kuminga. And Kuminga, among a game of freaks with Houston, still look different. So the Warriors are scared shitless about any other move outside of Giannis getting something back because Kuminga is that special. Now, the only way that the Warriors would consider trading Kuminga is like if they got like a Cam Johnson in return and they got a number 3 pick. You got Cooper Flag. Nobody's walking away from Cooper Flag. But the kid barely at Rutgers, and there might be another kid that people are excited about. So the Warriors might consider doing something like that. But player for player, outside of Giannis or maybe another player or two, you're not going to get back equal athleticism, equal potential star power. So the Warriors could potentially sign him to a contract and ultimately pay $20 million more than they would have paid had they signed him earlier.
It'd be nice if they could get another, big man who could run the floor. I mean, they're still a little bit of a donut team. Even tonight, even though they won this game, they got beat on the boards. It seems like they get beat on the boards and points in the paint a lot. Now tonight they actually did get a bunch of points in the paint, so that was good to see. I just think that they've got a lot of guys on the wings for sure. I don't know. I'd love to see a 6'11" guy who could run the floor and block some shots, rim protect, throw the lob. Just one more big body. It seemed like they're a little. Well,
Larry, because I'm guessing you're thinking of what was it, Neemias Queta? Is that his name? He had moments where
liked him a lot. I liked him a lot. I loved him at Utah State. I mean, he was really good in college.
And here's the thing:
the Warriors had him on their G League team, and the Celtics got him at the right time. I mean, he's absolutely a great pick.
And the Warriors, I could still understand the argument that maybe that is a weakness of theirs, like a big like Cadis. He was just scoring at will. There were moments where the Warriors had no answers, but this was also another game where Trace Jackson-Davis, he saw 32 seconds in the fourth quarter. I feel like if TJD played a little more at the end of the game to match up those minutes, we would have seen a more effective defense in that regard. With all that said, though, you look at the top teams, right? Whether it's Boston, whether it's OKC, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's the Suns, what none of those teams have, and this echoes 2022 a lot, is a Zubac-type center who you can feed in there, and they've got like that ultimate big man skill set where they can get buckets at will. None of the elite teams in the NBA this year have that kind of center that could cause major issues for the Warriors. And because of that, I don't know if you have to make a serious move to be a championship contender this year. I really don't. This is where I see a lot of 14-15 with this team, but when you look at the opposition and the NBA landscape and the fact that all the elite centers are on teams that may not be an issue for the Warriors, this might be lined up perfectly, man. That's what I'm seeing so far. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, they're deep. I mean, they're really deep. So that's kind of covers everything. I mean, in a
What are
lot
they
of
missing?
ways.
You think maybe they might need someone like a Robert Williams from Portland to
That would be nice.
Supplement the, when come playoff time, that big body that can play D.
Well, I mean, I just got to wonder how many minutes can Draymond Green continue to play at this age against bigger guys every night. He's a 6'8" guy, and you're basically asking him to battle the trees, 6'11", 7-footers all the time. I don't know. I mean, 3 years ago, that was not too much to ask. It might be too much to ask this year. I would love to see them have one more big man.
Me too. Me too.
But
and
I mean, that's the story of being a Warrior fan. I mean, we've been saying that for years.
Well, you know what, though, Cruz, and I agree with you. I think that there's only so much heavy lifting Draymond Green can do at this point in his career, for an 82-game schedule. I will say this. You look back at the greatest team Steve Kerr has coached, each one of those championship teams had a big who was – like a good, nasty presence in the paint.
Yeah.
Shout out to guys like Bogut, who was a big
Bogut and Pachulia.
Zaza, David West, right? These are guys that were presence
Mo
in
Spates.
and Mo Spates. And a lot of those guys had the ability to pass. Like Bogut was a great facilitator. He was a nasty presence, but he could also dish. And he fit in really well with the Warriors. And I feel like Kerr has checked that box on each championship team. And I feel like Larry, I'm with you. I love what Draymond does, but I would love to be able to bring a true big body, just plant him in the paint, let him dish, knock some guys around, and establish like a presence.
Paul, you don't think Trace Jackson Davis fits that mold? Like, I think he's the guy.
I like Trace Jackson Davis a lot. I agree with you, Cyrus. I'd love to see him get more minutes on the floor, but I don't know that he's got that nasty disposition of like a David West, a Bogut.
I think he does, dude. I do. I know it's subjective. It's our opinions. I really do think he's got that dude. Remember his dad is Dale Davis, and sometimes you see that in him, man. Like the ferociousness, that life force that just is like, get the hell out of my way. This is my pain. I see that at times, and the kid can pass. He's not a liability offensively. He can play defense. I love this kid, dude. I don't think it hurts the team to play him some minutes in the fourth quarter to relieve the pressure from a Draymond Green like you're talking about, Larry. I wouldn't mind adding a Robert Williams. Don't get me wrong, but I think Trace Jackson Davis is legit, dude. That's just me. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but
what do you guys? As we're now, you look at these teams. We're about 10 games into the season, and it's an 82 game season. How do you guys see the West and the East as far as the top? I mean, Cleveland's off to a 9-0 start. Celtics lost for only the second time all year tonight. And then there's a drop off. I mean, then after that, I mean, the third seed in the East is 4-4. So it's really Cleveland and Boston look like the very best teams in the East. In the West, OKC still undefeated. Golden State's 7-1. You guys, you mentioned the Suns are 6-1. Then there's a little bit of a drop off right there. In your guys' minds, if you had to say a Final Four right now, is it as simple as Cleveland and Boston in the East, or do you like somebody else? And
the Knicks will get better.
How realistic is it that the Warriors could be a top 4 seed? Or is it just a hot start, or are the Warriors really, really good?
Really,
the Warriors,
really
by the way, had the best rating, right? When we were looking at it the other day, net rating.
They're 0.1 behind the Thunder to like the OKC was 17.4. The Warriors, I think, were plus 17.3. That's going to go down a little bit after tonight's game, but that's natural. It's the Celtics.
And the Warriors have the second best point differential in the game right now behind OKC as well.
Which says a lot, dude. I'll say this and then I'll shut up because there's a lot of us, and I'm sorry for taking up so much airtime. I'm looking at the standings, like you said, Larry, in the West, and there's going to be some teams that are really good that are going to be in the play-in tournament. I don't know if the Denver Nuggets even make the playoffs this year, which is a crazy notion, but very true when you consider that Michael Porter Jr. is just a shell of his old self. He's not the shooter he once was. Aaron Gordon just is knocked out with an injury. He's going to miss at least a month. The Nuggets have no depth. They have no shooting. They're relying on Russell Westbrook. The Memphis Grizzlies, I know they're good, but this West is so deep. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. The Sacramento Kings, which is crazy because They look damn good entering the season. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. There's a lot of depth in the West, but I really do believe that the Warriors they're a cut above, man. I mean, this game tonight was a test, and I got to start like giving them their due. This is a real team with some real superstars, and depth matters, dude. It matters. So I'll shut up now. You guys think?
Rye, what do you think, Rye?
I don't know. I think the Warriors will be closer to like 6, maybe. I mean, it's tough when you look at the league. There's 2 teams over 500 in the East. 4-4 has you in 3rd in the Eastern Conference.
It's crazy.
4-4 has you 10th place. Yeah, 10th. The Lakers are 4-4. They're in 10th in the West. So the West is it's young. It's crazy deep. There's not going to be that many off nights. I don't know. I just look at these teams. The Suns, I think, look great this year with an actual coach. The Rockets, just got done playing them. I think they look really good, and they're probably only going to improve. Mavericks last year, Western Conference Finals. T-Wolves, the T-Wolves are a little bit weird this year without Cat, but I still think the T-Wolves are nasty. And then the Kings, I mean, I think the Nuggets are going to get it together. I mean, they've been playing in a lot of really close games. And then the Lakers, I don't really know what to think about JJ Redick. They won those first couple games, and it seemed like, damn, is he kind of the truth? I saw him like kind of barking at LeBron. It seemed like, hey, there's the guy for them. I mean, Anthony Davis is maybe playing, this is the best he's looked maybe since, those last Pelicans years, or probably accurately the 2020 bubble. So it's like if you have Anthony Davis
out tonight though against the Grizzlies with a heel injury.
Yeah, well, that's Anthony Davis for you. But if they're healthy, I mean, AD and LeBron, I mean, that's 2 top 12 guys when you get to the playoffs. And I mean, they got lucky in the draft.
That's the key right there, right? If they're healthy, 82 game season, guys are getting older. LeBron's 40. I don't think he makes. I mean,
it sucks. It really sucks. But like the Lakers are a terrible matchup for the Warriors. Even this Warriors deep team, like that is one of the teams that will give them trouble. I think
we'll see. You're absolutely Ryan. You're absolutely right. That to me is a true test. The Lakers have owned them for like 5 years, so I'm with you. But I think this team could do it, man. I think they finally match up.
Joe, Paulie, what do you guys think?
I think I agree with Ryan.
I mean, like Dan said, go ahead, Joe. Go for it.
Okay. I agree with Ryan. I think the Warriors are probably in that 6-7 range. I think their defense looks awesome. Does their offense is it gonna last for a full season? I mean, do you guys trust that the offense will stick around for the whole year?
Yes.
Buddy Hield's an awesome piece. I mean, and he was awesome, prior to the Warriors. He was great in Indy, then his little stint in Philly. I don't know. I don't know if I trust their offense to put them in that 3-4 range with when you have teams like OKC, Phoenix, Minnesota, Dallas. I don't really trust the Lakers. I'm biased, but I don't know. I would put the Warriors in that 5-6 range, and then the East, I don't really know. I think it's Boston, New York, Cleveland. Even though Orlando's 3-6, it's super early.
If they get Paolo back, like they're serious.
Exactly.
He has looked tremendous. Banchero has just been crazy good.
He's awesome. And again, it's early. What the Jazz start 2 years ago, like 13-3, and then they're terrible. Like I'm not saying the Warriors are the Jazz. Don't before people come at me. But I don't know. It is very early. I think things will flip as the season moves along.
We have a very calm and very a very unbiased fan base. Warriors going all the way this year.
Warriors it's not that far off, dude.
Maitland says Warriors going all the way. Is that Victor Maitland? Where do you guys know Victor Maitland from? That was from Beverly Hills Cop. Go ahead, Paulie. You were going to say.
No, I was just going to say I think I lean a little closer to Cyrus's view of this team because they look awfully good to me. And you know what's encouraging to me at this early stage? Because Joe, you're right. I mean, it's early, man. There's a lot of ball to be played. Dan, you mentioned injuries. I mean, you never know like who's going to get struck with an injury, so it's hard to predict. 4 months down the road. But I will say I'm very, very encouraged by not only their offense, but guys, the ball movement is back. Like the ball is getting whipped around on offense now. Like we have not seen the last couple of seasons. Things last year kind of slowed down. Krugs, you talked about, Klay and being kind of an anchor of sorts, like emotionally and just the vibes he was giving off. The ball is moving again, man. It's moving. Guys are dishing. And I think that is what encourages me. Like that's going to continue. That's going to get better if they're moving the ball this well this early, like in 2 months, it'll be all that much better. So I'm closer to Cyrus on this one. I think this team so far.
I'm with you, Paulie and Cy on this, because when you have a deep team like they do, and as I said it earlier, guys that want to play, they're going to go out there and play the way Kerr wants them to play, and that's move the ball, as you said, Paulie, moving the ball and playing defense. You do those two things, you're going to play, and they're going to rotate guys, and everybody's learning their roles, and it's going to be conducive to winning basketball. If guys stop doing that, if they get stagnant in the offense, we had Klay last year, he'd be hoisting up shots in this offense, contested shots, instead of moving the ball for a better shot. Mm-hmm. So you keep working that, it gets contagious, and you start winning. I'm telling you this, with Steph and Draymond, they've got a chip on their shoulder. They're not going to say it, but they believe. They're never going to come out and say it. Draymond hinted at it the other day. He said something to the effect, well, this could be like 22. Don't count us out, but, and you get those guys believing, and they're talking in their practices, and amongst themselves, they believe. So you get a group that believes in themselves. I think it's probably – I had them in the play-in earlier. I've upgraded that. I think they're a top 5 seed. They'll be anywhere between – What are
their odds? What are their odds right now?
I'll look that up real fast.
Yeah, 43.5. 43.5.
Nice.
I mean, that's their over-under for the season, 43 and a half wins.
But it went down?
What? No, it was 43 and a half on opening night.
Yeah, so he just said 42 and a half. So it went
I said 43. No,
43 and a half.
Okay.
No, but I'm saying, what are the odds to win the title? Because I mean, if you really are, Cy, enthusiastic, you think they can win the title, you might as well bet it right now.
I'm not there yet, but what I'm saying is that
I'm just saying, because you get a hell of a price right now, right? I think
like 22-1. They don't really give you those prices
like 16,
anymore.
17 to
Here
1.
it is. The Golden State Warriors, courtesy of official Golden Day sponsor Bet Online, they're plus 1,800 currently to win the championship. The Celtics are the favorites at plus 250. So the Warriors are plus 1,800 right now, which is good for ninth, tied for ninth. That's not bad.
Tell you what, you can get them on FanDuel right now at plus 3,500.
Ooh, well, there you go.
Yeah, they were 30-1 before 2014-15, their first title.
35.
The great Mike Weisberg also says plus 3,500 on FanDuel.
There it is, right there, FanDuel, baby.
That's the great Weisberg.
Is FanDuel legal in Arizona?
Yeah, it's legal in Arizona, FanDuel.
You lucky son of a bitch, man. That's awesome. That is
I wanted to point out something to you guys and ask you, you remember the play they were talking about with Looney? They said he moved his hip, and everybody – I saw Mike Weisberg make a comment on that play, said it was a turning point of the game, and then Doris –
Wait, who said that?
Mike Weisberg early on.
The great Weisberg. Okay, let me see.
The screen that was a foul on Steph?
They said it was a bad call. It was
Weisberg
good,
also won most of his bets.
Non-call. It was a good
he got
non-call.
challenged, right? The Celtics challenged it, lost the challenge for good reason, right?
Mike says that was an awful call. Let me tell you why.
Weisberg saying awful call. Weisberg's also saying 7-2 run after that call.
Is he saying that should have been a foul on Looney?
You're going to have to check with Weisberg.
Well, Doris Burke did. Doris Burke was like very adamant that Kevon Looney was at fault there, and which is weird. I mean, it was not conclusive. That was kind of ridiculous.
It is very conclusive. I'll tell you what happened because I can show it to you.
Was Doris anti-Warriors the entire game as Pinoy reformat?
I'll show it to you here. Watch this. Derek White makes Looney's hip move by running into his left leg. Look.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is. Watch him run into his leg. Right there. Look at that. That's why his leg went. Not because he moved his hip. Because he got a do, Mike.
Dan, you should become one of those like the referee guys. Like they're all Italian, you know. You fit right in, and you just be that for the NBA.
But Ryan, the replay center guys are all Italian.
Oh, they're all Italian. Yeah. Wait, let me start naming some of these guys off. Can anybody think of them?
The leg is way outside, Mike, because it got ran into. If you ever played and had your leg slammed into it, it's called reaction. It's like he either his leg either goes with it or he has a massive Charlie horse and he doesn't play for 3 days.
I'm still tripping out about so basically people are eating gabagool and then absolutely smudging the screen with gabagool grease on their fingers.
Mike Pereira, Gene Steratore. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some more searching, but Blandino.
Ryan's saying like the Italians are now known. They're known for the arts, for their cuisine, and for NFL officiating. Those would be the 3 big things. Yeah.
I don't know why that's funny to me. It is just a replay center room that smells like pizza and sausage and gabagool and
what is gabagool?
Prosciutto while we're in there. Come on, man. You know.
I love Reminds me of The Office. The guy's like, the gabagool.
Well, or The Sopranos, right? Remember Meadow was like, that's just all preservatives and nitrate. I forgot what she was saying about gabagool. Man. I've never had gabagool. I want to try it so bad.
You're missing out.
I don't think it exists.
You've had it?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Stop by your deli and grab a third of a pound. Then come talk to me. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're winding it down here. We've been going for an hour and 15. We'll probably go for another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll call it a night.
Well, Larry, there's a Golden Days tradition that has started this year is going through the scoreboard for the rest of the league for every postgame show. Do you guys mind if we do that before we finish the show, just to see what else is happening in the league? But once we get to that point, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, we can start going down the scores right now. There's a game going on right now. Clippers up 64-55 on the 76ers.
Yeah, and some stats that stuck out to me a little bit too. You brought up the rebounding figures and how the Warriors lost that battle tonight. They were out-rebounded. No, they won the battle. They out-rebounded the Celtics tonight. And this is, I think, a huge reason why
53-47 Warriors tonight. On the
correct.
Guys.
But they also won the points in the paint battle, which is I look at way more closely. The rebounding thing usually doesn't tell a good picture, but points in the paint does. And they won the points in the paint battle 52-36. And again, the Warriors are not just a shooting team, man. They're getting their buckets inside. A lot of that is Wiggins being effective attacking the paint. He gets to the line a lot as well. Draymond Green is more aggressive offensively. So you're seeing points in the paint from him. Trace Jackson Davis. Stephen Curry late in the game had a fantastic drive. I mean, he's become such a good player in terms of scoring inside besides the obvious three-point shooting. And then you got guys like Kuminga, Looney, GP2. I remember having a couple of impact buckets inside. The point is, they're a good points in the paint team now, and we could not have said that the last 2 years. So kudos to this new team for doing that.
Transition offense was completely non-existent last year.
Well, they were the worst in the NBA, which is really
crazy. They just didn't get out and run. They never got any easy points.
You notice how Kerr almost after every bucket or rebound is waving. Come on, move it. He's just like, go. He wants Nelly ball, man. Just get up and go.
Well, and especially in the regular season, you can steal so many possessions. They were +9 on fast break points, so that's huge. What's impressive to me too is that in this game they only had 22 assists, but they've been piling up some pretty good assist totals, and they don't turn it over. I mean, to me, the fact you're always worried about turnovers with a team that relies on body movement and ball movement like the Warriors do, and yet their turnovers have been very under control thus far this year for the most part. I think that's been a good sign.
Hey, Cy, could you put up the last comment there by Pinoy?
I don't have that control. Larry does.
Larry, the comment there. I like what he says there. Warriors.
He says Warriors one of the best rebounding teams, but we can't stop begging for a 7-footer. But we can't stop begging. They are bigger this year, but not in the traditional sense.
Well, I beg for a 7-footer for one reason and one reason only. It would make Steph's life a million times easier. It would. I mean, imagine having someone on the court that Steph, if they're double teaming, would just go, here you go. Like, he's never had that, man. In his entire career with the Warriors, I've always wanted him to just have one big that he could just feed the ball to and just take a breath, But with that said, I don't think this team needs it. I don't know about you guys, but
I loved it when they had JaVale.
It would be if it was the right kind of big man, I think it would really help. I mean, if you could get the kid, you could get the big man from Cleveland. If you could get Jared Allen. Yeah. If
Well, I
you
don't
could
think
get,
they're going to get rid of him, though, are they?
if you could get
no.
Duran from Detroit. If you could get,
yes.
somebody who's got some length and who could run the floor.
Absolutely, man.
You don't want to be slowed down because you want to be able to get out and run. But it seemed like I don't know. They just seem like they've got an awful lot of guys who are in that kind of that swingman mold. Carson Taylor says, "What do you guys all think Jonathan Kuminga needs to do to start?" What do you think? I mean, I'm a big Kuminga fan, but he seems like has a hard time, getting minutes. He has a hard time establishing a role. He seems like he's a night-to-night proposition. How do you guys see Kuminga? Should he be on the bench, coming off the bench? You want him in the lineup? I kind of want to see him and Moody be kind of force-fed and let the team kind of adapt around them. But that's not going to happen. I mean, they're just not going to do that. They're going to make those guys work around the rest of the team.
It's kind of hard to argue right now, though, the fact that they're 7-1 and what are they, second in the league in point differential behind OKC or something close to that? Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
I will say this. I really, really like Kuminga. Think he's going to be a great player, but there are times where I feel like everybody on this team is playing one way and he's playing another. Like he's like the one guy that like the ball is sticking in his hands and the ball's not moving. And he's making decisions like I will take this ball to the cup, like, this drive. And sometimes he gets a little bit happy with that when he's just running the second unit.
Yeah,
I agree.
Kuminga, that overtime game.
You're like the biggest Kuminga guy of all time.
No,
right?
That's nothing to do with it. It's just you're sitting here saying that sometimes you think he holds the ball too much, or what are you trying to say? That he's an
I'm
ISO
saying that the
player?
ball. Yes, the ball sticks in his hand.
Agree to disagree. Okay. I don't agree with that at all. I every time he has the ball, if he attacks the paint, it's a smart decision. His field goal percentage is very high for good reason because he's making smart choices. His turnover number is not anything outrageous. So he's not making mistakes, turning the ball over. He passes the ball a lot. I even put on my social media account tonight this incredible play where he fed Trace Jackson-Davis for a slam because he's routinely looking for his players. We can agree to disagree, Ryan. It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm a Kuminga fan. I just don't see what you're seeing, which is that Kuminga is an ISO player. I don't see that at all. I think he's perfectly within the flow of the Warriors offense. That's just me.
HR says biggest offseason upgrade was Stotts and Stack over Kenny Atkinson. Dunleavy
I was saying that for months ago. Yeah, dude. Strongly agree with that. You
Dunleavy,
see the difference. You clearly see it. One example of this, Kuminga 2 games ago finished the game. I don't think we would have seen that with a different assistant coaches. So Kerr is going with the players who are doing best. Like Wiggins, for example, I think last game was 1 of 9 from the field. He did not finish the game. He played 18 minutes. So even though the favoritism is still there, you're seeing the Stotts Stackhouse influence in the sense of individuals getting minutes for deserved time. Whereas before, Kerr just played his favorites. Like Klay Thompson should not have played 32 minutes in an 0 of 10 playing game. Yet he did, and we're not seeing that this year. So I'm happy. That's me.
Han Solo Dolo says the only cheap big man the Warriors can get and are targeting is Jonas Valanciunas. I don't think he's cheap. Doesn't he make like $14 million a year or something like that? I don't think he's
20. He's making around 20, but
20. Yeah, I mean, so I even undershot that.
I
like Valanciunas. He's a smart basketball player. He's got skill limitations though.
Nick J says biggest offseason upgrade was Cyrus going to Golden Days.
Can't argue with that. Yeah.
We got this one from Bill M. He says, I think the problem with Kuminga is that Kerr hasn't found him a good spot yet. Tonight he played very little.
Again, it's going to be situational. He finished the game. He basically won the game against Houston in overtime for him.
Yes, he did. Great call. I personally, I just think Kuminga is just not fully there yet. And this has been Kerr's endless struggle, which is he wants to be a championship contender while trying to get Kuminga and Moody developed. And he's not a ball handler like Pajemski, which is clearly Kerr's favorite. Like if you can handle the ball, that's half the battle with Kerr. So Kuminga doesn't fit that bill yet, although he's way better as a ball handler. Now you see him actually run to the point at times. I think he's going to be fine, dude. He's 22 years old.
Before we run down the scores, though, what's the end game here? I mean, if you said to me, are they going? bet that they will either keep him and sign him or trade him and get impatient for somebody that can help them win right away. I think that's what they're going to do. I don't want to do that. I would rather stay the course with him. He's 21, 22. He's so young. He's a virtual baby. Stay with him. This guy would be in college if this were a different decade. So you know what? Stay with this guy. He's improving. He's one of the greatest athletes in the league today. I know there's some raw spots. I know there's some rough spots. I know there's frustrating moments. Stay with this guy. Don't trade him for Jimmy Butler. Don't look to trade him. Mm-hmm. But if you made me say right now, you got to wager everything you have, the Warriors are either keeping him or trading him. They're trading him. They are trading him. And I get that feeling from talking to people around the team who seem to feel like they're in the know. I just get the feeling that Kerr and Dunleavy are going to sacrifice Kuminga for some piece, and hopefully it's the right one, because we all know that is going to burn them on the back end in a huge, huge way. At least that's how I feel about it.
The only reason why I think Kuminga stays is because his biggest supporter, or at least one of them, happens to own the team, and that's Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob likes Kuminga. He wants Kuminga. I have no idea how Mike Dunleavy Jr. feels about him. What's up?
That probably helps.
It probably
the owner like you.
It probably helps. Yeah. So I don't know.
What
you might be.
What do the rest of you guys think? I mean, do you guys all think Kuminga's going to stay, go? What do you think is going to happen with Kuminga? Because I think he's going to get traded.
Give me some.
I think you have a thought, Frank.
Let me hear Frank. Yeah.
Again, I think there's only a few players that he could get traded for. A superstar player like a Giannis with a package that they. I mean, like you guys said, if Giannis doesn't want to be there, then ultimately he has to go somewhere. He will have some say-so where he goes. Brooklyn is a place where I would keep my eyes on because, again, whomever gets the number one pick is going to draft Cooper Flagg. After Cooper Flagg is off the board, all bets are off. If I'm the Brooklyn Nets and I get the opportunity to get a freak in my lineup who's been in the league for 4 years, who I know is going to catch crazy alley-oops and then throw on my fan base, he looks like my fan base, I'm interested in that because he's a star. Kuminga is a star. Curry's a hard coach to play for, but through this arduous process, he's actually gotten better. Yeah. And I think the league recognizes that he's a better prospect than even sometimes the Warriors think he is, which is why the Warriors are always putting on pause. Oh, we love Kuminga. We won't give him the contract, but we love Kuminga because they don't want to look stupid. You know, there's a few teams that really like this guy. So I don't think he's going to get traded, but I can see them trading him for a solid player and a top 5 pick. Because right now, if you put him in this year's draft right now, he's still a top 5 player. So
easily.
Keep your eye on that.
And don't forget, Mike Dunleavy Jr. said this in the offseason. He likes the idea of this team being organic, right? Continuing the trend of growing players they draft as opposed to trying to patchwork things with free agency. Not to mention, the team offered him $30 million a year. He wanted 35. So the money was there. Okay, Kuminga is just he thinks he deserves 35. More power to you, kid. Good luck. But the Warriors offered him $30 million a year. They would not do that if he wasn't part of their long-term plans. I don't think he's going anywhere. And if the team plays like this, you're not going to see a deal. What's the point, right? I mean, if they're playing like this, they just beat the champs. Why would you make a deal? You know, I think he's fine.
Well, I mean, you don't make a deal when you're rolling.
No, I think a deal, you have to look at 2 seasons, though. You have to look at the regular season and the playoffs in the NBA. In the NBA, you're going to need a guy like a Giannis that can bang and get his shot and get downhill and help Steph, because in the playoffs, it's just a different type of game. And I don't think this team is geared. I think it's geared to make a good run, top, I said 3, 4, or 5 seed, but and win 50 games, maybe even a little bit more if they stay. But when they get to the playoffs, I don't think this team is built to beat some of the teams that are more post driven, and that, so that's why I think they need a Giannis. I don't want Jimmy Butler. I don't think he fits this team at all. I think the one guy that would make the difference for the Warriors being a championship contender is Giannis. And Giannis has a no trade clause. Basically, in the NBA, like Kevin Durant, you get to pick where you want to get traded to. And if Giannis wants to play with Steph, then he's going to play with Steph. And if Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee, he's staying in Milwaukee. That's just how it is. The NBA players, the superstars, call the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can force his way to the Warriors at some point, and maybe the Warriors are banking on that. Let's take a look at the scores before we jet. Suns over the Heat, 115, 112, 32 for said Mr. Durant. They're 32 and 8 for Durant, 28 for Tyler Hero. But Phoenix 7 and 1 out of the shoot. Miami's 3 and 4. Nuggets get a win, 124, 122 in Denver over OKC. How about that? Jalen Williams, the former Santa Clara star, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 assist shy of the triple-double for Jalen Williams. Jokic, how about these stats for Jokic? 23, 20, and 16 dimes.
It's
what?
ridiculous. Yeah.
And that's why that's why you can't count Denver out.
I agree.
And that's why the Warriors have a team built to handle OKC, because the Nuggets might give the Warriors problems, but they're not deep this year. So the Nuggets are like what the Nuggets were in 2022. It's Jokic surrounded by scrubs, unless Jamal Murray's healthy, but he doesn't look that way. OKC they still have that chink, man. I know they got Isaiah Hartenstein, but the Warriors, I think, can beat them, man. That Sunday game is going to be very interesting when they play each other.
You know what? Who's playing well for Denver right now is Westbrook. He had 29. He started this game for Denver, and Denver winds up winning to go to 5-3. Mavericks over the Bulls, 119 to 90.
Real fast before you move on. You know what that means? That result?
Fluke.
It means the Warriors are tied with Phoenix and OKC for the best record in the West.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Can they hold on? Mavericks over the Bulls, 119 to 99. Future Warrior Nikola Vucevic with 14 and 10. I could see him here. Luka Doncic, 27, 7 boards, 13 dimes.
Ooh.
Mavericks get the win.
How did Klay do?
Let's see.
Do you have that?
Klay in that game for the Mavericks went 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. He had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, no blocks, 1 turnover, plus 27.
Nice.
Hey, speaking of Klay, I'm hearing next Tuesday night it's going to be the video tribute of all video tributes that the Warriors are putting together.
I believe it. By the way, a couple people in the chat, I just have to call them out because they're saying that I'm saying nonsense in regards to Kuminga playing the point. This team has not had, when Steph Curry was injured, Jonathan Kuminga was handling the point for a lot of possessions. I'm sorry if that you don't like hearing that, but that's the truth, man. So shut the F up for saying that's nonsense. It's a fact. Continue on. Sorry.
Si's got chat ears instead of rabbit ears.
Don't make up shit, man. Like don't call me out for nonsense. That's ridiculous.
Don't get chat ears. Don't get chat ears. All right.
These are my cat people. I'm calling them out. Yeah.
All right. I know, but easy. Cavs, Pelicans, we're all one. Big love fest here.
Brothers and sisters, they're going to be cool. Come on, man.
Exactly. We got Paulie in the house. I've got family in the house.
Let's keep it peaceful. Yeah.
Let's keep it peaceful. I mean, we're somebody may twist one up before this show's over.
That would be me.
Cavs over the Pelicans, 131, 122, 29 for Donovan Mitchell.
Ooh.
Cavs are 9-0, 5-0 on the road.
Ooh,
Cleveland Cavaliers. They have some of my favorite players on this team. I love Evan Mobley. He had 15 and 9. I love Jared Allen. He had 16 and 14. Donovan Mitchell is one of my favorite scorers. He had 29. Winston Garland's kid, the former Warrior, his kid Darius, 14 points, 9 assists. This is a good team. Ty Jerome. Ty
Larry.
Jerome with 11 off the pine.
Wait, so is Ty Jerome really just an Atkinson guy this entire time? Were we blaming Kerr and he was really an Atkinson guy?
Cleveland signed him last year before Atkinson got there, and Ty Jerome did not play at all last year. So the fact that, great. Keep him, Cleveland. He's all yours. I'm happy he's not here. But it is crazy they're playing them Friday. That's another huge game. What do you guys think about that? I mean, that's insane. They're playing Cleveland next. They just played Boston.
Well, Cleveland's got a lot of size. I mean, you got Mobley and Allen. So you got almost like twin towers. Okoro's a great athlete. He's not a shooter, but he's a great athlete, and he's improved as a shooter. And then they got a killer backcourt, and they've got some scorers off the bench. I mean, Karis LeVert can score. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Cleveland's good.
Who's Winston? I'm sorry for the naivety. I have no idea who Winston Garland is. I did not know he was a former Warriors player, let alone Darius Garland. He played. What's the story there? Like what years?
Like 88 to like 91, 88 to 91 around there.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. He was a starting point guard for the Warriors. He was good too.
88 to 91 around there.
I thought Sleepy Floyd was a starting point guard, and then Tim Hardaway became the point guard.
He's kind of after. He's probably after Sleepy. So Sleepy was more like 82.
Okay,
83. But Winston Garland was a good player. Now his son's better. His son's bigger and better, but his dad was good. Okay, a couple more scores before we get out of here. But yeah, Cavs, unbelievable. They're off to a 9-0 start, playing incredible basketball. Also tonight, Lakers, Grizzlies, Memphis. They're another team. We haven't talked at all about them. Grizzlies get off they're 5-4. They've gotten off to a bad start, but they smoked the Lakers 131-114. The King had 39-7-7 or 39-7-6, I should say.
Larry, you're the king. Who are you talking about? The king. You're the king, brother.
Thank you.
You're the king. Gary Sports Media.
Jaren Jackson. I'm a big Jaren Jackson fan. He had 20. You know another guy who I'm a huge fan of, and I said the Warriors ought to get him in the offseason? Santi Aldama.
Yeah.
Dude, Santi Aldama had 11 points, 12 rebounds tonight. He's a really underrated player. Zach Edey is one of the favorites to be the rookie of the year.
Correct.
Ja Morant had a ridiculous highlight in this game, by the way. Just this crazy flip shot. So yeah, no, I'm Memphis. We haven't even talked about Memphis. They're another team that is not off to a hot start, but they could get it going.
They're frustrating with how good they are at personnel. Like, even how are they getting, like, Scottie Pippen Jr. is all of a sudden a player on Memphis.
Seriously, and they're 5-4. I mean, it's not I wouldn't call that a bad start. They're doing okay.
No, but I mean, I think of them as one of the better teams in the West. Spurs lost to the Rockets in Houston, 127-100.
Did you see that clip? Did you guys see that clip, by the way, of Sohan farting during the starting lineup introductions? Jeremy Sohan he dropped a massive bomb. No correlation with Greg Popovich out indefinitely with whatever's going on. I hope he's okay. But Sohan drops a fart bomb, and you see Chris Paul everyone's like Wembanyama's putting his jersey over his mouth. It is one of the funniest things ever. It's
I saw it. Yeah, no, there's no mistaking what's going on there, man. Yeah.
Unbelievable. What else? Oh, Hawks beat the Knicks 121-116. The number one pick in the draft. How do you pronounce his last name?
Ricochet.
He had 33, 7, and 3 steals.
Wow.
And Towns had 34 and 16 with 3 blocks.
Nice.
That kid's pretty talented. I didn't realize he was that good. Pacers over the Magic 118-111. Franz Wagner 28, 8, and 6. Jarris Walker had 17 and 6 for Indiana. Indiana's 4-4. Hornets 108-107 winners over the Pistons. Cade Cunningham with 20, 10, and 10. Little triple double. LaMelo's back doing his thing. He had 25, 6 rebounds, 8 assists.
Saw a highlight of that game. I'm not sure if it ended on an alley-oop dump.
Yeah, it was a Brandon Miller
an alley-oop dump
buzzer beater.
To end the game?
Yeah, to end the game. No, it was a putback. It was a putback. Like, it wasn't a dunk, but it was a putback by Brandon Miller to end it. Like half a second. Yeah.
And then Kings Raptors in Sacramento tonight at the Golden One. It's 101.97 with 8:12 left. It looks like Sabonis is on his way to a triple-double. He's got 15 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. R.J. Barrett, who's just been absolutely smoking hot for the Raptors, he's already got 23. There's 8 minutes left to play. R.J. Barrett, tremendous. He's coming.
We all know
he's a
you
Canadian player.
We all know you love Dick. How
That's
is Grady Dick doing in this game tonight?
Let's check out Mr. Grady. He started
I have that highlight there somewhere. Sorry.
7 points. 7 points for Grady.
And yes, I know I'm immature. Sorry.
7 points for him. Carlos Boucher, or not Carlos.
Chris
Boucher, the former Warrior, off the bench, double figures. He's a pretty good player.
He is.
And Sacramento's got the 101.97 lead now with 7:41 to play. And end of the third quarter, Clippers up 84-68 on the Sixers. So Harden's got 17 already. Paul George with 14 and 7 rebounds.
Did you guys talk about that deal with
Embiid?
With Embiid and the media getting suspended?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. What do you want to say about it?
Well, I just wondering what your thoughts being in the media. That could have been you he shoved.
Oh.
It might be Cyrus, the way Cyrus is talking tonight. You know? You're next, dude. Cyrus, you're next.
I promise you a player would never shove me, man. Well, here's the thing. I'm never bringing up dead relatives. I'm never going there, dude. Like that's
I mean, here's you know, I go in and talk to the players all the time, right? Not in the NBA locker rooms necessarily, because they're a little bit more difficult to get into, but at least for the NFL. And I've never had a player ever, you know, in any way react harshly to anything I've ever said to him. But I also don't challenge these guys, you know, and I definitely don't write stories or do YouTube live streams or videos about their family members. You know, I saw DeMarcus Cousins bow up on a Sacramento Bee guy at one time who was like 55 years old. And I kind of knew him through another writer, and I thought that was really weak. And I don't like that. I mean, obviously you're bigger, stronger, younger, tougher. You know, it's like some of the people covering you are like 60 years old. Just don't bow up on a six. If you're 25 and in prime of life, don't bow up on a 60-year-old writer who, you know, there's a better way to handle it. Go get a PR person and tell them your side of the story, and then let them deal with it. That's what I would do.
What if it's a media on media? Like let's say, Larry, I need Andrew Baggerly in the nuts for you. Would that be okay?
I have no idea even what are you even talking about? I mean,
crabgrass, Larry. You know it. You're human.
No, but what? I mean, what's your point? What's the point? I mean,
my
this
point
is
is,
not
would that
what we're
be
talking
okay
about.
if I need him in the nuts?
No, I mean it's not okay. But here's the thing. You know, you can't cross the line. Okay, you can't cross that line. You can't put your hands on somebody. Now, there's also lines I think you shouldn't cross as a media person. Keep it, you know, to me, I'm very critical of the 49ers, but I keep it between the lines.
You have to.
And I don't criticize. I'm not criticizing Kyle Shanahan as a person. You never hear me say, I'm not going to yell, oh, Kyle Shanahan's a coward. You know, I don't do that crap. And other people do. And so all I'm saying is, I understand if the players get mad if you cross that a line of respect, but you can't. I don't care what line you cross of respect. You can't put your hands on somebody else. You just can't. I mean, you just can't. I don't care who it is. And so anybody who puts their hands on anybody is going to be suspended.
Let me ask you this, Larry, because you were talking about media and stuff with players. That thing that happened, it's probably been 30 years ago with Jim Everett and Jim Rome calling him Chris. Do you think that was staged for Jim Rome, or do you think that was real?
I mean, he's been asked about it many, many, many times. It was real. It was real. He had been talking about Everett. Everett called him out, said you wouldn't do that. But I mean, think about how low grade that really was. Yeah. Now, if that happened today, the articles that would be out there ripping Jim Rome for being sexist would be off because he was basically calling him a girl's name. He's like, oh, you wouldn't do that again. And it's like, so he's like, so you're calling him a girl's name, and that level of ripping would be viewed as Neanderthalish now, right? And people would just push back harshly on Rome. If that exact same situation happened right now, people would push back harshly on Rome, and he'd be fired. Don't you think? I mean, I know it was a different time, but I think that's the way it would be handled now. Because it would be like, hey, this media person is trying to insult the athlete by goading him into a fight on air. You know what I mean? It's just, it would not be.
What happened with Grant Cohen and that player? Like what? Like I never got the whole. What?
Javon Kinlaw?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I just remember that was ugly. I did see that, and that was ugly. Like
Kinlaw and him got into an argument. Kinlaw knocked his hat off. Then they did some kind of video together. Kinlaw was verbally attacking Grant. Grant seemed like he didn't know what was going on. Lynch got them both together and brokered some form of peace.
Okay.
And the Niners moved on. I don't think that Kinlaw ever really moved on because Kinlaw never again wanted to talk to Grant ever again after that. But they moved on as far as, they peacefully coexisted in the same room.
I only saw the live stream thing where Kinlaw was pissed. I didn't know
what happened. What Kinlaw was really mad about there was that Grant said that he had 90-year-old knees, and it's like when you attack a player's body publicly like that, you are kind of going at his money. And to me, that's as far as I'm concerned. Where's the line? There's the line. If you don't know where the line is, that's the line. You don't go at another. I don't care if we're talking about anybody. You don't attack another man's money unless you really want to fight to the death. You know what I mean? You just don't. You just don't do it. So that's the line, I think.
Hey, Krugs, I learned that lesson when I was in high school when I watched Risky Business. If you guys remember,
hey now,
Joe Pantoliano had played Guido the Killer Pimp, and as he cleaned out Tom Hanks' house, stole all the furniture, as he was driving away, cracks open a beer, and he yells the last piece of advice to Tom Cruise. He goes, remember, never fuck with a man's livelihood. And then he drives away. So Krug, you're 100% correct. You don't mess with a man's livelihood. You just don't.
Great reference.
Hey, that's gonna do it for us. Let's promote everybody on the way out the door. Danny, go ahead. Tell us where they can go and find your content.
Yeah, head on over to NorCal Sports Network on YouTube. We're just gained a sub or two. We're like 1 or 2 away from 2,800 now.
Nice.
But we want to get to 3,000 soon. So if everybody watching would go over to NorCal Sports Network on YouTube and just hit that subscribe button, would greatly appreciate it.
Do you live stream your HOA meetings? I know those are
Danny. We'll talk. Danny, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
There you go, the great Dan Coach Emilio. Rye, where people want to check you out, where can they find you? West Coast Smitty on X?
Yeah, that's it. Nothing else going right now.
What have you been? I haven't seen you in forever, Ryan. Like, what are you up
Dude,
to?
I know.
Bro?
It's been years. I'm working a different
years,
job, man. Yeah.
He's in Southern Cal, right?
Yeah, Southern Cal. It's I'm putting on festivals. Me and this other guy are putting on festivals. Actually, surprisingly going well.
That's awesome, brother. That's
good for you.
You're an event planner. Is that kind of like the proper title for what you do, or?
Yeah. You could say sort of.
Okay.
Building.
Awesome,
It's like a startup situation. I don't know.
Well, it's good to see you, dude. It's been a long time, man.
Rye, good to see you, bro. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, later.
There you go. The great Rye. Joe, we'll let you go as well. It's 12 minutes after midnight East Coast, so we appreciate you coming up.
You're there right now. You're all the way out. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
all right.
He's out in the east.
I'm in South Boston right now. It is late, and I didn't get too much sleep last night. I kept following what was going on.
Did you enjoy the Dodgers beating the? Did you and Dad enjoy Dodgers beating the Yankees in the World Series?
Loved it. Anytime. anytime the Yankees can lose, and especially the way they did it, that was beautiful. I mean, Aaron Judge, center field, just muffing it, and then not covering first base, Rizzo not going to. I mean, that mishap. Next thing you know, it's 5-5. They lose. I mean, that was wonderful.
I haven't talked to you about this, but your father and I and your mother were watching Gibson's home run in game 1 at a UC Davis football game through like a screen.
Nice.
Through like a snack bar screen. We were watching game 1 of the World Series. And then, of course, game 1 of the World Series for this series was literally a reenactment almost.
Yeah, no, my dad's told me the same story, and he's always, the way he tells it every time, he's always like, and I don't know why the hell we were at a UC Davis
seriously
during game 1 of the World Series, but
yeah, the answer is love. Hey, buddy, good to see you, man. We'll see you soon.
Good to see you.
Nice meeting you, Joe.
Take care, bro.
The great Joe Harrell. And then we were down to 4. Paulie,
real quick. I've been wanting to ask Frank this. I haven't seen Frank in a while.
Yeah,
Frank. And Frank, you're a total basketball junkie, which is why I want to ask you this, because I respect your opinion tremendously. It's been weird to me, and I'd love your take on this, that Gary Payton II's minutes have been matching Steph's. Like, he shadows Stephen Curry since Steph came back from the injury. I know Steve Kerr mentioned publicly like a month or so ago that he likes the combination of those two in the court, which is, I've never heard him say that before, and it was just weird to me. And I was wondering if it stuck out to you, and if you had any observations that you wanted to share on that or not. I don't know.
I hadn't noticed it, but it makes sense, though, because that means that Steph doesn't have to play the primary defender on the other team, and he can relax. Because, I mean, listen, Gary Payton is speaking very loudly to not only Warriors, to other NBA teams, that I ain't done. Think about this. Last June, we all thought this guy was riding on his last contract, but he's trying to get at least a 2-year deal for similar money that he's making now, and he's a valuable player. So I think this is how a great player should age. The way that Stephen Curry is playing this year, he hasn't played over 30 minutes yet, and there's real data out there to say that past 33, 34 minutes, he's not his effectiveness drops quite a bit. So Gary Payton helps Steph play longer and better. Buddy Hield, all of these guys are really helping Stephen Curry play this year. And it starts with Steve Kerr and the staff's mind, because they're coaching very smartly early in the season.
Yes. Agreed.
The other thing that they did, I think it was really valuable, is they took this group to Hawaii. And I just think that, I know that sounds weird, but I think they bonded in Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii's a great place to bond. You're seriously, you're tropical and you're doing this. Your families are there, and it's a great place to kind of, and they just seemed really chill. And that seemed like, I mean, if you looked at some of the media they did on the islands, it was so chill. It was so laid back. It was like, it was like these guys were going on a true Hawaiian vacation. It wasn't like they were at training camp. So I thought that might have been kind of a key factor, just because, they clearly started the year. I mean, one of the challenges is going to be getting along, because there's so many guys who can play.
Correct.
So the fact that they went to Hawaii and got this chemistry going early, I think is maybe one of the major keys of their season, because you're not going to blow up if you got a bunch of good vibes in the room. And right now they got a whole bag of feel good going. I mean, you can tell they feel good about each other. They're sharing the ball. They're playing fast. I mean, I love it. I mean, it's amazing. If you had told me that this is what it was going to look like, I would have picked them to win 48 games. Instead, I said 38. So, I'll give Kerr credit. Kerr, you can question things about him, but the one thing that he does very, very well is what Phil did very, very well, and that's get a group and keep them together and bring them from point A to point B, and have them kind of become endearing to your players by educating them and, being positive. And, I don't know. It just seems like Kerr has the same traits that Phil had. Is like the Bulls grew together. I really think that Warrior year a couple of years ago when they won the title, there were other teams that were as good as them that just kind of fractured along the way. and they just didn't. So if the Warriors can just play out the schedule, keep the minutes down, don't fracture as a team, stay together, maybe make one strategic pickup at the trade deadline. Yeah, I could see them making a run in the West. I could see it.
And there was
amazing to say.
There was a play in this game where Steph tried to do like a home, like a football pass. It was almost from one end of the court to the other, and it got deflected, ended up as a turnover. And Steve Kerr chastised them for that. I haven't seen. It's been a long ass time since I've seen Steve Kerr actually like coaching Steph and not being happy with him. And that was a sign of what this team is trying to do now. They're holding everybody accountable. Again, Draymond Green was benched the other night. That's not something you see every day. You got to love what you're seeing. And
it's
vital.
So far, it's vitally important that they hold their stars, because last year, I mean, come on, we can talk about this forever. And this is, think about this. How long have we all been watching sports? For a long, long time, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many good teams can you ever remember in any sport where they talked about factions of the team instead of the team?
Yeah, right.
Last year, you would hear Draymond, well, the rookies and the old guys and the rookies and the young guys and the old guys. And Draymond's like, well, I don't know if the old guys are really playing that bad. It's, they literally allowed themselves to be a fragmented group of 12 or 15. I mean, you can't have factions in a team of roster size of 15. I mean, that's just deadly. And that's what happened. And this year, they're all together. There's not like the young guys, the old guys. It's this guy, it's that guy, it's the bench, it's the starters. They're all one. So I think it makes all the difference in the world.
I do too. And I would say, you guys, closing final statement on my end would be the only thing I think comparable to the Warriors' chemistry this year is the chemistry we established tonight right here on the Crew Show. we had 7 guys all shooting off riffs, dude. It went great. And all kidding aside, though, Larry, dude, thank you again. It's always great hanging with Croogs. Cyrus, I love you, and Frank will definitely.
I love you, brother.
Frank, I want to come when I get my show launched. And by the way, in the meantime, you can hit me at Paulie's Pod on X. And we'll launch the show in January on Twitter. It'll be called Polymax Particles. But Frank, I want to have like a hip hop
on Twitter or on YouTube. Or you're not going to be on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah, it'll be on YouTube.
No, he meant on YouTube.
But Frank, I'm circling back to you, man. In the new year, as long as we can talk a little Chuck D, I'll be happy.
Well, Chuck's my guy. Chuck's my
guy too. I love Chuck.
Yeah. Chuck's like 5 minutes from my hometown in New York, and actually, Terminator X, Norm. His name is Norman, is best friends with one of my college teammates. So he would come up to Fordham all the time, and I would check him out as well. So, I'm a hip-hop artist also. So, I love to talk to you about that, man.
All right.
Hey, you know what? Why don't we do this? Paulie, Frank's got a killer song here. We'll play this out. We'll play this out right here.
I love
this. This is Frank's song.
Yeah.
Now, Frank, this is Make You Feel. This is when did you put this is not your latest song.
No,
this is one that we've been playing on the show for a while.
Well,
but tell us a little bit who you collabed with on this one, and we'll play it out here at the end.
All right. I worked with a producer in San Jose. His name is Diella. And he's a really, really talented guy. I mean, we become brothers. And there's this incredible singer. I've never mentioned her name before because she's so popular and she has millions of views. And just from an integrity perspective, I sent her out my music, and to my surprise, she liked it. But she has, because she's a superstar, she is internationally known. Her name is Sonorelli. And she took what I did to a whole nother level. But it's a song I'm very proud of. It's a song of like inspiration and kind of a coming of age story, kind of looking at life and seeing that, your biggest attribute is your opportunity to serve others. And that's the essence of the song. So, a lot of people think it's inspiring. I put it out a couple of years ago. I got some other stuff on YouTube. I'm actually getting ready to release another song called My First Coach. And it's about my first coach. So check it out, Larry. I appreciate you, brother. Man, this is incredible. I mean, everybody, you know what? You're everybody's inspiration, dude. You really are. And
Well, you guys, Paulie,
it's incredible to watch.
Paulie, Frank,
Thank you.
let me know
Thank
what you
you,
think
Frank.
about this. This is what I think, and I came to this conclusion with Larry 2 nights ago. Larry is the king of Bay Area sports media. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, nobody has done more of our generation. Seriously, no one has done more. And again, this social media space, basically what you've done is worked your tail off and put it, and made a lot of people get in their feelings, apparently, because your ascension has been incredible. Side, I mean, you kind of self-deprecating a little bit also sometimes, but you've kicked ass, dude. You really have. And for people who like what you do, they can't get enough of you. So,
Thanks,
I feel very, very fortunate to be in this space and to know you guys and to have relationships. But Larry, I mean, continued success, man. It's crazy. And now you get your son involved. Kevin has turned into one of the great producers in the game right now.
Yeah,
already.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. I will say this. I mean, I'm glad that we're down here to the final, the three of us here, because I mean, all really the three of you guys could absolutely dominate in this arena. Sai's already gotten, first of all, Sai, I don't know if you know this, there's 228 people watching through the Golden Days channel tonight. There's only about 160 watching through the Krug show. So a lot of the people that are watching tonight are watching through Sai's channel. He's established a lot of momentum
Thanks,
and a lot of momentum for the post-game Warriors by doing a lot in the Warrior window.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to do a lot of stuff. But Sai's, got a great thing going, and I was really happy to see him leave Locked On and start his own thing. And I think it's obviously the best for him. And Frank,
Thanks,
I've been trying to encourage you to to bring the dungeon to YouTube, because it was awesome on 1140 and I enjoyed it so many times. And Paulie, I've told Paulie many times, Paulie's a star and can do and is perfect for this medium of YouTube, because it's radio is very two-dimensional, and it worked, but I mean, this is three-dimensional. This is view, you can put up your own camera and your own stuff and there's all kinds of tricks of the trade to use video and different things to produce your own show, and it can be incredibly creative. And I know how creative you are, Paulie. So I just think that all three of you guys, it takes a while, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years to really get it going. It takes a lot of work. None of these things do themselves, but
True.
I'm very confident in saying that if the three of you guys continue down this road, that great things are going to happen for all three of you guys, because you're all hugely talented, and this is the perfect medium for really good radio people that also kind of can entertain, let's just say, more than just I anger people every day. It's like, can you entertain people? Can you make people laugh or whatever? This medium gives you so many options. So I know I'm really was very, Grant Cohn did help me. I know a lot of people hate Grant, but Grant did help me, and I'm appreciative of Grant. And I just told myself, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay it back. And so
you are
people that I think are really talented. I don't want to pay it back with people that I don't think are very talented, but people like the three of you are enormously talented, and you guys are going to have your own platform, and it's going to be lucrative. So I just want to be, I don't want anything for it. I just want to be part of the force that launches it. And I would, a great payback would be, we're sitting on a beach or in a bar somewhere in 10 years, and you're like, hey man, I'm making more money than I've ever made. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm living where I want to live. And you had a hand in motivating me. That would be gratification, all the gratification I need. So,
well, thank you, Krug. You've been great, man. You've been incredibly hospitable, and dude, I appreciate it. I know these guys do too. So thanks for all you've done. And we got a lot ahead of us, all four of us. So we'll all be talking.
This is just the beginning, dude. That's the crazy part. You're absolutely right, Paulie. This is just the beginning. Paulie, what's the is that a real background, by the way? Is that
it's a Grateful Dead
Yeah. What do you want to see? You want to see my Niner helmet? Is this what you want
Well,
to see?
no, that looks real, but the thing behind it, the tie-dye thing, is that real or is that like a virtual background?
No,
That's
like,
that's real. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. All right. I like it, man.
By the way, one last thing. This is for you, Larry, before I go. I think you'll appreciate this, man. Being like a Giants fan of the 1970s, Kruger, tell me if you can see that.
Oh,
wow.
Jack Clark.
Yeah. That was my guy.
That was my guy too. That was my guy, man. Jack was unbelievable.
The
Jack,
Ripper.
Yeah, he was my
Ripper.
hero when I was a kid.
do
playing
you
little-
remember the team that the Ripper owned? He absolutely dominated them. I think he hit over 500 in his
The Mets?
career.
The Dodgers, right? Is it the
Well,
Dodgers?
he did that. He beat the Dodgers in the playoffs against
Yeah.
Niedenfuer. Everybody
Yeah.
remembers that. That's his
Yeah.
most famous Jack Clark hit.
Yeah.
Supposedly, Jack Clark, he hit the home run and he ran right towards the Cardinals' first base dugout, and he's like, "That's what a big fly looks like, motherfuckers."
Yeah.
And then he circled the bases. That was a great day. That was when he beat the Dodgers that day.
Yeah.
I think I might have still been in grammar school, but that was an incredible day.
Yeah.
I loved it because we could watch baseball playoffs in the fall. They would let us sometimes watch the baseball playoffs at school.
Yeah.
And the dude, but yeah, Jack dominated the Pirates because he was a Pittsburgh guy. He's from PA, and he would roll into Pittsburgh and he'd have like 11 hits in the series. I mean, he was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I had him on the show one time. He got into a motorcycle accident without a helmet in Arizona, and I think the Ripper, that took a lot out of him. So, but good dude. And get this, Jack Clark. You know what he was known for more than anything within the game?
What?
Jack Clark at the end of each series would tip the clubbies like $300.
Wow.
At the end of the series. This is in the 80s.
That's
when
good to hear.
$300 was like $1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He tipped the clubbies like better than anybody. He was like the biggest
great.
tipper.
That's
The
great
dude.
to hear. Great to
Jack
hear.
the Ripper.
That dude
It was
assaulted the baseball. He was Mr. Doubles, man. That dude was just he would. If you had to catch that ball, hopefully you had some padding in your glove.
Yeah,
because that thing was coming.
My favorite Jack Clark memory. It was 1978. The Giants were competing for a playoff berth with the Dodgers. It came to time for an August Giants-Dodgers series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they sold out what they called the old football seats in right field because it was the Dodgers. So now you get all the football seats. And Lee Lacy comes up in the seventh inning, and we're sitting right over the bullpen down the right field line, and he hits a screaming line drive to right center, and Herndon and Clark collide.
Ooh.
And Clark catches the ball, but Herndon was 6'3", 200 pounds. Jack Clark was 6'3", 225. These guys collided. It was a huge collision. The ball rolled out of Jack's glove at the end. He caught it, but when he rolled to the ground, he was knocked out, and the ball rolled out of his glove. And Lee Lacy circled the bases for an inside the park grand slam.
Wow!
And the Dodgers beat the Giants, and all the fans in the bleachers. I remember because I was 8, started chanting bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. It was epic. It was an amazing night, an absolutely amazing night. The dude. All right, so that's going to do it for us tonight. Here's Frank's song on the way out. It's called "Make You Feel." Enjoy it.
Real quick, before we go, I just want to mention as well for upcoming Golden Days shows. Our mutual friend Damon Bruce and I, we're going to be doing a show tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. We're going to sleep on it and kind of let this game soak in, and we're going to absorb it for a night and then break down what happened and preview Warriors Cavaliers Friday, and then Friday night. Sophia Jones, Mark Jones's daughter, the ESPN broadcaster, she's now co-hosting with me once a week, and she's a burgeoning talent. She also got hired to be the color commentator for all USF games. So if you're a USF Dons fan, catch her on those broadcasts. But she's going to be with me Friday night for Warriors Cavaliers post game. That's another heavyweight title fight that the Warriors are embarking in, and should be fun. So that's what's coming up next on Golden Days. And Larry, thanks for hosting this program tonight, brother. This was awesome. Thank you to everyone, man. Paulie, Frank, great to see you too, man. This was awesome.
You guys.
Peace out,
Thanks to Mancini's for sponsoring. Thanks to Pig in a Pickle. Thanks to all of our sponsors. And here we go. Frank Red's going to play us out. Make You Feel. Frank's hit from over a year ago, but it's fantastic. Here we go.
You miss your shot at life. You think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man. I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel. It's funny how it makes you feel.
Thank you.
I said it's funny how it
Chorus,
makes you
dude. Nice
feel.
chorus.
Yeah.